Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day today. We are on Wednesday. Whoop, whoop. Yeah. First, let me start off by saying thank you, Paula. I appreciate you very much. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right into this stuff today because let me kill this cam and get the X feed up. Let's get going. Let's cover all this and more. Let's see. I need to come on, get on up there. There we go. All right, let me get rid of this mini cam thingy. There we go. All right, absolutely. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm going to try not to be distracted by the phone at all today. We'll see how well that works out, and we'll go from there. So let me do a quick refresh because I want to make sure I got everything that I started with today. Okay. All right, we're going to start off with a post by Carly Boone. Now, I've been seeing some things coming up about Carly Boone being associated with the Flynn Network and all that. And we're actually going to talk about General Flynn a little bit today because there's a couple of arguments going on online or on X in regards to Flynn. And I want to cover a couple of things. I'm honestly, I'm just getting really sick and tired of all the infighting and everything else. It's really annoying because it doesn't allow us really to progress because we constantly have to cover things that to make sure that people understand that there are a lot more to circumstances, situations, and sayings than what we see. Okay, now I've already told you guys before, I don't trust any of them. Okay. I don't trust any of them. Anybody that's associated with them, I don't trust. Okay, it's up to us ourselves. Okay, to do the discernment. Okay, it's up to us to do the research and to verify everything. And if we're not verifying, then all we're doing is spreading more propaganda. Right? Okay. And our objective is not to do that. Our objective is to be based, to be solid in our stance, solid in our view, solid in the knowledge that we have obtained through our research. Okay. And verifiable proof and move forward. Okay. Now, I understand, personal grievances between podcasters and everything else. But the fact of the matter is it basically takes us so far away from the direction that we're supposed to be going because everybody's against everybody. Okay. It's not, it's okay. When you meet somebody new in your life, okay, in most cases, you trust them until they give you a reason not to trust them, right? Okay. Well, let me tell you one thing that I learned in the Marine Corps, okay, in boot camp, is just because they wear green doesn't mean that there is a trust value there. Trust has to be earned, okay? And if uh, there's no verifiable substance to the individual, then the truth has to be earned. Now, just because you wear a uniform doesn't mean that you should be trusted because there are good and bad in uniform. And that's every freaking uniform, from a guy who works for PG&E wearing a uniform, okay, to a police officer wearing a uniform, to a state trooper wearing a uniform, to a military individual wearing a uniform, to our astronauts wearing a uniform. verify before trust. Okay. And the thing is, you know, when you're in boot camp, everybody's just putting on the uniform. So can you trust those people who are in your platoon to do what a soldier who's been an active soldier for 5 years, 10 years, have pulled multiple campaigns, you know, in whatever theater of war is going on. Okay. Even then, trust can dwindle because of the narrative and things that are going on, and maybe because a person's personality changes during those circumstances and everything else. Okay. So the thing is that this infighting in many ways stops us from researching the things that we need to be paying attention to concentrate on the fight that's currently going on between two individuals. We're losing our fucking way. We're losing our way. The path becomes altered. Okay. Christ said to take the narrow path. Okay. And, you know, and to move towards him. And that's what we need to concentrate on that path, not on the paths that everybody's trying to take us into. Okay. And we have to pay attention to these things. So we will be covering a little bit about Flynn and the Q boards. Okay. Here shortly. And when I come to that post, you know, I'll explain it. And just so everybody knows, I'm not trying to demean the individual who made the post in any way. I'm just doing it to show that Flynn has been talked about. Okay. And we'll go from there. But we're going to start off. Carly Boone has been thrown into that Flynn network and been accused of this, and that. Now, Carly Boone has been a pretty good source of information. Okay. Yeah, I'm not saying intel. Okay. I'm not saying intel. I'm saying information. Okay. Verifiable information. And, you know, it's, you know, but she's getting thrown into that mix, and I'm on the fence about it. Okay. Where other podcasters are concerned, I don't trust anybody. Okay. Now I will say where it comes to, say for instance, the Phil Kozlowski thing. Okay. Dr. Z, Nick Alviar, I hope I said his name right, and Script Keeper did some excellent work, and they came and they brought receipts. Okay. They brought receipts. They brought the court documents out there to show everybody the proof. Okay. And in doing so, okay, have probably saved a large number of people a lot of heartache and monetary loss because of the work that they did. Okay. Because now people know, be careful who you follow. Okay. Now, Dave, he's another one. Okay. He covers a lot of really good things. He covered, you know, he tried to do interviews with Mike Gill and everything else. And sometimes things work out, sometimes they don't. Okay. But the infighting that's going on there is having a direct reflection upon you guys. Okay. That's not fair to you. Okay. And until we know exactly what Mike Gill has, we're there, it's never going to get put to rest. Okay. Do I trust Mike Gill? No, I don't trust anybody. And I do that with good reason. You have not earned my trust. Period. You have not earned my trust. I don't give trust out freely. I don't let anybody into my inner circle that I do not trust. Because when I gave trust freely, I got screwed over and over and over. And that's just in natural life. So I will not. Oh, you want to mention the snake? I will not bring the snake into my house saying, little snake, here, get warm. I'll save your life. No. If I saw the snake going through what it was going through, I'd have killed the snake. Put it out of its misery. I wouldn't have brought it in my house. You understand where I'm coming from? You understand where I'm going with this? Okay. You know, there are so many things that are going on that if we do not stop ourselves from falling into the pattern of this disassociation because this person doesn't like this person doesn't like that person. Okay. Just because I don't trust Mike Gill doesn't mean that I'm not going to listen to what he has to say, because most of these guys are dropping about 80% truth and 20% bullshit, you know. And I look at that and I have to discern what part is the bullshit, what part is the truth. Okay. And we have to work ourselves through that. Okay. The idea is to obtain as much information as possible, corroboratable, stuff that we can corroborate ourselves through our own research, that we can verify through our own research. Okay. And it's got nothing to do with grifting. It's got nothing to do with monetary gain or anything like that. It's got to do with learning. Okay. It's got to do with learning. Okay. The Pizzagate. Okay. Prime example. Okay. A lot of us learned about the child trafficking. Some of us knew about the child trafficking beforehand, have been talking about child trafficking. I've been talking about it since I was 12 years old. I actually did something about it at the age of 10, walking into the state police barracks in Connecticut, Troop K, and telling them what was happening to me. Now, here I am, almost 60 years old, okay, and it's taken this long to find any type of individuals who wanted to take the time to listen and learn and to see justice coming in any form. You know, Silver Girl, prime example for you. What she experienced in her life. She wrote a book about it. It's up on Amazon, okay, about what happened to her. She told her story. She tried to get people to understand and to learn about it, but nobody wanted to learn because it didn't affect them. It wasn't in their face. So they didn't want to learn about it. They didn't want to know about it. Now, a lot of us are in this fight because of the fact that, because of the children. Okay. But when it boils down to it, those of us who've been affected by it, by experiencing it, okay, experience above regular research, okay, experience gives you a whole different level. It gives you a whole different perspective at looking at all of this. And that is one of the reasons why I don't trust. Because I had people, both from the state police, from local police, to government officials in the state of Connecticut telling me about how they were going to do something about it. I had the Hartford Courant come to me and do interview after interview. I had the New Haven Register come to me and do interview after interview. I had the New London Day do interview after interview, and you want to know what? Nothing was ever accomplished. That guy died peacefully in his own bed. his friends that were all involved in it, they all died in their own beds. There was no justice. Will that stop me from seeking justice for the children today? Nope. It ain't going to stop me. But we have to understand that this infighting that is going on is distracting us from paying attention to the things that we need to pay attention to. The exposure of individuals, yes, is important. Okay. But it has to be done tactfully. It has to be done immediate. And it has to be done with precision. And then you move on. Because burying yourself in it, the only thing it does is it eats at you and eats at you and eats at you until it consumes so much that you become lost and you might as well fucking go back to sleep. So let's stop it. Okay? Let's stop it. Verify, show the information that you have that either corroborates or discounts, and then move on. Because there are too many things going on that we're becoming lost. And I don't want to lose any of you. You guys are awesome. We've been together for, some of you, almost 7 years. Some of you, 5 years. Okay? And we're better than that. We're better than that. We're not going to get mixed up in the middle of all this stuff. But we will make points and show corroborating evidence or statements according to situations and circumstances. And then, and go from there, And we have. Yesterday, I was at a point yesterday. I was beyond frustrated yesterday, honestly, and I wasn't feeling well either. I had when I started, I had a massive headache, and I didn't want to tell anybody that because everybody would say, "Well, just go to bed, get off here," and and I'm not going to do that to you guys, So I didn't tell you. All right. I'm telling you now, but I had a massive headache. I was not feeling well. And we went ahead and we had our show, but the fact of the matter was that, I was going through frustration yesterday. I'm sick and tired of all of this. I want my life back. I want my farm back, but God's going to lead me whichever way he's going to lead me. And I'm going to follow. Will I follow blindly? Yeah. Him? Yes. Everybody else? Nope. No. All right, let's get into this. Carly Boone says, whoa, this right here proves Cohen is a liar. Well, we already knew Cohen was a liar because, he perjured himself in front of Congress and many other places as well. Here we go.
The FBI had no evidence that the laptop story was a hack and leak operation. No evidence. So they had done exactly what Mr. Hamilton described in his written brief. I now recognize the gentleman from Florida, Mr. Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to...
Hang on 1 second, Mr. Stubbe, if you would. I understand you have a hard stop, Mr. Hamilton. We wanted you to be able to stay for, any Democrat want to ask you a question. If you got to run, we understand. If time's now Mr. Stubbe's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you're taking off? Mr. Hamilton's taking off? All right, so Mr. Costello, I'll just start at page 6 of your written testimony. I know the chairman got into what Mr. Cohen said about, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. And then after that, so I'm at the end of page 6 of your written testimony. And I just want to walk through this. Through further cross-examination, Cohen told me that he knew there was money missing from the Trump inauguration fund, but that Donald Trump had nothing to do with it. Is that correct?
Where are you referencing on page 6?
I'm in your written testimony on page 6 at the bottom.
Okay. And you're referring to what again?
I'll just read it. There, through further cross-examination, Cohen told me that he knew there was money missing from the Trump inauguration.
I see where you are now. Thank you.
Okay, and then on the next page, into that first paragraph, Cohen decided that while he didn't believe the allegation of the Stormy Daniels story, that he thought the story would be embarrassing for Trump and especially for Melania, so he decided he would take care of it himself.
Absolutely. And that is contrary to what this guy testified to in court in New York yesterday.
Well, and what's not being talked about is your next paragraph, like the reason and his motivation for that. So if you could just kind of walk through that for the committee.
Yeah, obviously, when we started to talk about the NDAs, and this is the very first meeting at the Regency Hotel, when, by the way, Rudy Giuliani was not involved in representing Donald Trump at that time. Cohen testified that it was a conspiracy between Giuliani and Costello as of this date. Totally false. In any event, he also said that he didn't discuss the Stormy Daniels matter with us, and he certainly did. I specifically asked him because he kept on going back saying, I can't believe they're trying to put me in jail for these NDAs. So I said, Michael, tell me about the NDA. Tell me about Stormy Daniels. What did you do? He said, I got a call from a lawyer representing Stormy Daniels who represented that she was going to testify that Donald Trump had sex with Stormy Daniels. Michael Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but I knew that such an allegation would be terribly embarrassing. He said it would be embarrassing. He focused on Melania Trump. He said, I didn't want to embarrass Melania Trump. He said, that's why I decided to take care of this on my own.
Right.
I went back to that several times. You did this on your own? On my own. Did Donald Trump have anything to do with it? No. Did you get the money from Donald Trump? No. From any of his organizations? No. From anybody connected to Donald Trump? No. Where did you get the money? I took out a HELOC loan against my property. I said, why would you do that? He said, I didn't want anybody to know where I got this money. I didn't want Melania to know. I didn't want my own wife to know because she's in charge, he said, of the Cohen family finances. He said, if she saw money coming out of my account, she'd ask me 100 questions and I didn't want to answer any of them. It was clear after talking to him for several days after that, whenever we talked on the phone or in my office, that he kept on bringing up the subject that he felt he was betrayed by not being brought down to Washington, D.C. This guy thought, he said to me, that he should have been Attorney General of the United States, or at least the chief assistant to the president. Ludicrous, but that's what he thought. And he was very angry about that. He wanted to do something to put himself back into the inner circle of Donald Trump. That's why he took care of this on his own. There had to be a motivation. Michael Cohen is always working for things that benefit himself. And that's what he was doing here. That's completely different to what he said that he told the grand jury. That's completely different to what he's testifying to in New York. Nobody has heard this side of the equation.
Right.
When
Which is, I think it's important that you're talking about that today. And I'm now on page 8, but just to keep, we're going to keep going from where you were in your written testimony. The point is, when Michael Cohen was presented with the opportunity to implicate Donald Trump in exchange for eliminating his own enormous legal problems, he repeatedly said he had nothing truthful on Donald Trump.
Yeah, why is that important? It's important because this guy literally was suicidal at the moment. He's saying, guys, I need you to tell me what my escape route is. How do I get out of this oncoming legal deluge that I see coming my way? And so I said, look, it's simple. If you look at what happened here, the U.S. attorney went to great lengths to get a search warrant for your law office. They had to go to Main Justice. They think you have something. Remember, he's telling us I didn't do anything illegal. Counts 1 through 7 that he pled guilty to had nothing to do with Donald Trump. He said, I didn't do anything illegal. And I've been cooperating with the special counsel. I've been cooperating with Congress. Didn't tell us that he lied to Congress. I said, Michael, isn't it easier if you have something truthful? And I kept on repeating that. It's got to be truthful. Don't make something up. If you have something truthful on Donald Trump, isn't it easier for you to cooperate against Donald Trump than it is to kill yourself? The answer is obvious. So when they claim that I was trying to shut up Michael Cohen, it's exactly the opposite. I was on that first day telling him, here's your escape route if you have truthful information, but he didn't.
And at this time, you were his attorney, which is why he made all these admissions.
Yeah, I mean, he makes these claims that we were never his attorney. I can show you emails and text messages and phone calls where he kept on saying, Bob, you guys are on the team, but I don't want to announce it now. He had McDermott, Will, and Emery going through documents here in Washington, D.C. He said, I don't want to announce it now. We didn't give him a retainer agreement the first time we met him at the Regency Hotel. We gave him a retainer agreement when he came to our offices. He came to our offices that he kept on saying, well, I can't deal with this now. The guy slow played us. There's no question about it. And I told the partner in charge of this, he's slow playing us. Get rid of this guy. He's never going to come up with the money. He's a bad penny. He's just going to keep on coming back. So it wasn't my call because it was his client, not my client. So that's why Michael kept on calling me and I was giving him the advice that I should have given him all along. Truthful advice. Nobody was pressuring him. I was giving him the straight facts as I knew them.
My time's expired. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman.
So, yeah, it's kind of funny. It's, you got Michael Cohen's attorney or almost attorney, coming forward with all this. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. All right. Hernando Arce. I have no idea how to say his name. Gustavo from Colombia. He entered between ports entry without inspection, surrendered to CPB, and quickly claimed fear of persecution. Here we go.
It's Hernando Arce here, citizen journalist. The clip you're about to watch is a young military-aged man who came through the border illegally without any papers, came in through the Rio Grande River, and he was held up for 45 days at a prison. The vendor of that prison is Core Civic. Core Civic is one of the largest privately owned jail correction facilities in the country, with over 75 locations across the country, based out of Tennessee, and over a capacity of 75,000 beds. They also have granted hundreds of millions of dollars in federal grants, contracts, non-bidding contracts. In 2021, the revenue was $2 billion with a B. And so I interviewed this illegal alien. He tells me his story. But pay attention to this vendor, this contractor, Core Civic. It's Hernando Arce here, God and Country.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo es tu primer nombre?
Gustavo,
Gustavo, ¿de dónde eres?
de Colombia,
Colombia. ¿Qué parte de Colombia?
de Pereira.
Pereira.
Sí, señor.
¿Eso queda por la costa?
Es como por el eje cafetero, cerca del Valle del Cauca.
Ok, muy bien. ¿Y cuántos días tienen aquí en San Antonio, en este
Llevo
sitio?
ya
Not
2
in
días.
English.
2 days.
Ah.
¿Viniste solo o con familia?
Vine con mi mujer,
Ok.
ilegal.
De la frontera, no viniste con la entrada del CBP-1
No, entré prácticamente ilegal.
y te daban los
A entregar.
documentos.
Sí, me dieron mis documentos, me hicieron mi entrevista de miedo creíble y la pasé como positivo.
Ok, muy bien. ¿Y viniste solo o con familia?
Vine con mi mujer. Ella exactamente pasó conmigo, pero yo entré a un centro de detención mientras me hacía mi proceso y ella siguió de largo hacia Chicago, hacia un albergue.
Okay, so he came with his wife, no niños,
No,
and his wife was already entered. Unfortunately, he was held up at the border. ¿Cuántos días estaba en cárcel esperando?
estuve tenido 2 meses, 7 días.
He was in there for 2 months and 7 days. ¿Y por qué le hicieron parar?
Exactamente, es un proceso en el que nosotros nos hacen una entrevista para si somos miedo razonable a huir de nuestro país y por el asilo que ellos nos pueden brindar.
So they held him up because they wanted further questioning on him. ¿Era criminal en Colombia o no tiene nada de record?
Tengo, pues, mi expediente está bien.
He has a clean record, he says. ¿Era por el tatú? ¿Por eso te pararon por los tatús?
Quizás yo creería que alguna gente la dejan pasar porque no son tatuados y porque esto también es un paso para de pronto investigarlo mejor.
So yeah, he assumes that they stopped it because of his tattoos. ¿Cuántos años tienes?
Yo tengo exactamente 32 años.
32 years old. Vas a ir a Chicago. Estás esperando para los boletos.
Estoy ya gestionando los boletos para reencontrarme con mi mujer y ir a empezar las cortes. Como debe ser.
He's waiting for the money to come in so he can buy an airline ticket into Chicago. ¿Y cuándo se va a ir? ¿Dentro de estos días?
Yo creería que pronto mañana en el nombre del Señor y
Tomorrow in God's name,
avanzar.
you will be leaving. Okay. ¿Por qué vino? Why did you come?
Exactamente, vengo a, bueno, por mi familia, para tener un mejor futuro, porque acá en este país respetan las leyes y los derechos humanos. En mi
So
país.
he's coming because he wants to help his family. ¿Tu familia está en Colombia?
Sí, sí.
¿Tus hijos?
No, exactamente, mis
His,
padres y
his
mis
parents
hermanos.
are in Colombia. That's why he came to America for a better future. And ¿qué era lo más difícil cuando entraste entrando con todos esos países? ¿El Darien Gap entraste?
Sí, señor. Crucé la selva del
The
Darién,
Selva?
pasé
Okay. Selva means jungle.
los 6 países exactamente con México. Fue Panamá, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala y México.
Y México. Era lo más difícil
México y Guatemala. Y la
Por la-
selva del Darién.
por la policía. ¿Te molesta mucho?
Y los cárteles.
The
muchas
cartel and
torturas.
federal police mess around with these people a lot in Mexico. ¿Y cuánto tiene la fecha la corte?
La primera corte es para el 25 de abril del 2025.
So he has a court date next year, April.
Y el 18 de abril de este año me toca ir a lo del grillete para que me lo remuevan.
But however, he has a court date 18 de abril, April 18th, to remove the bracelet there, the GPS bracelet, because he was incarcerated for 2 months. So he's a bit of a special interest type of migrant here. Okay, muchas gracias.
Okay.
Suerte.
Gracias. Buena suerte.
And so if you like my content and you want to help support me, please go to my bio above on my profile and give to my GiveSendGo account. I am not sponsored. I don't get paid to do this. I have a full-time job. I'm a one-man show. I do have lawyer fees to pay because I do plan on suing the city of San Antonio and the police department for the unlawful arrest of me at the airport. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right. Out there trying to do some good work, trying to, let people know what's going on, All right. Moving on. It's a very big difference between capitalism and monopolies. It's time Americans admit how far off track we are. This video shows side-by-side stories of what capitalism was meant to be in America versus what it's become. Here we go.
This is capitalism. This is not. This is capitalism. This is not. This is capitalism. This is not. And before anybody comes at me in the comments, I want you to understand what capitalism was intended to be versus what it wasn't. It was never intended to be multinational conglomerates that lobby our politicians and force them to put in place policies that have no benefit to the average American. And I know some people will argue that, well, the consumers ended up choosing what they wanted. People chose to go to Walmart or Home Depot instead of going to their local mom and pop shop. Or you could look at it the other way for a second. The big guys have so many resources and are so well capitalized that they can literally price out their competition, or buy them, or force them to close down. This is capitalism. This is not.
Yep. And that's the way it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be that, that you'd be able to start your own business. You'd be able to build a future for yourself and your family. And monopolies came in instead. All right. Libs of TikTok. Oh, boy. This trans preschool teacher is very excited that conversations about pronouns and gender come up in her classroom. These are the people teaching your kids.
If you want to know what it's like to be trans and work with children but not pass as the gender you identify with, let me tell you. I work with preschool age children, about 3 to 4 years old. I guess my boss sent out an email to the staff and the parents of my room, letting them know that I'm trans and what pronouns I identify with and stuff. My coworker is great. She has never misgendered me. And when I'm in different rooms, some of the kids will ask me are you a boy or a girl? Because my hair is kind of a mid-length, but it's short enough that it applies to the kids' logic of boys have short hair and girls have long hair kind of thing. On my first day in the room, one of the kids asked me how I'm a boy if I have this thing. And then she pointed at her nose where my piercing is. I've actually had kids correct other kids on my pronouns, saying that he's not a she, he's a boy, and correct other kids. It's so cute. I've seen parents correct their kids too. The other day I was leaving work at the same time as one of the kids, and she was talking about me to her mom, and she was like, yeah, no, but she doesn't, whatever, whatever. And then the mom was like, yeah, like he doesn't do whatever, whatever, and like kept talking. And I was like, that's just so nice. No one's made it like an issue. We're still like having these conversations, which is literally the sweetest thing ever. Like on one of my like first days, one of the parents dropped off her daughter and she asked me if her daughter had called me a girl the day before, because apparently I guess she had told her mom that. And I was like, no, they just call me my name because we're usually talking to each other. And she was like, I'm sorry if she called you a girl. We have a lot of books at home. And I was like, that's so nice. Like she didn't have to, but she did. I've just had such a great experience. And
What the hell is going on in our world? Yeah. Starting them off at preschool. Not cool. Not cool. Not cool. What you do as an adult, keep it as an adult in your own private home. Don't bring it out into the public and expose other people's children to it. That's not right. That's just 100% wrong. All right. The Trump girl says, brilliant response to a stupid question. I gotta love these.
You all right?
Are you okay? Oh, I'm feeling better than ever.
You all right?
Yes, I'm all right.
Are you racist?
Am I what?
What? Why you stay here?
Are you racist? Am I racist? No, I'm not a racist. Why do you ask that?
Well,
Why is it that people who stand up for America and who want to protect our own borders, why are we always trying to be backed up with the racist thing? I'm standing here with a black man. If I was a racist, this is my brother right here. If I'm standing with him, how can I be a racist? Are you a racist?
No.
So why would you ask him if he's a racist?
Well, let me see.
Why would you ask that question?
Why you stay here?
And you asking him because he's white and you want to get away with this racist remark. Are you a racist?
No.
Why is it that he a racist? Because he's standing up for the country.
Do you like the Latin people?
Do you like them? No. Do you like them? Do you like America? Do you like America? Then what's the problem? You should be out here picking it with us. That's a dumb question to ask. You're asking that question so you can use it on your program to make him look like a racist. Why don't you ask me am I racist? Because I'm black, right? I love America too, and I think these illegal aliens need to be shipped back to their country. Why is that racist? You're racist for asking him that question. Thank you, Jesse. And you're only doing it because he's white, and that's what you're going to show on your report tonight. You shouldn't play that kind of game.
And he's right. People playing games. That's what it boils down to. Games. Unfortunately, these games have a big effect on the younger generations and mislead people in many ways. Shipwreck says Trump responds to Biden's video about the presidential debates.
Donald Trump has responded to Joe Biden's video calling him out for a debate. On Truth Social, he sent out Crooked Joe Biden is the worst debater I've ever faced. He can't put two sentences together. Crooked is also the worst president in the history of the United States by far. It's time for a debate so that he can explain to the American people his highly destructive open border policy, new and ridiculous EV mandates, the allowance of crushing inflation, high taxes, and his really weak foreign policy, which is allowing the world to catch fire. I am ready and willing to debate Crooked Joe at 2 proposed times in June and September. I would strongly recommend more than 2 debates and for excitement purposes, a very large venue. Although Biden is supposedly afraid of crowds, that only is because he doesn't get them. Just tell me when, I'll be there, and let's get ready to rumble. And in case you missed the video,
will make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesday.
the video does seem AI-ish. I hear what you guys are saying. But it looks like our first presidential debate is going to be in June if both parties have it their way. Again, we need this debate. We didn't need the debate amongst the Republicans. We don't really need a debate between RFK Jr. and Trump. We need to get Joe Biden on the national stage on live TV. That is as unscripted as you're possibly going to get. Also, now that the debates have somewhat been defined, expect things to really ramp up between now and then. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah. Now, Shipwreck, I really like. I like her outtake on things. You know, she puts out a lot of great content. Just asks, she just asks the questions. That's all. She just asks the questions. It's up to us to figure it out, right? You know, nothing wrong with that. All right. Epstein Zorro Ranch Baby Factory. Are we going to forget Jeffrey Epstein had a massive ranch where girls were flown in? It was where he had a baby making factory. Baby factories are used for breeding undocumented children, used for sex, organ harvesting, adrenochrome harvesting, and much, much more. Yep. Can't forget about this place. Yeah. Laura Logan, are Hamas using UN vehicles to move around and to move hostages? How deep are the ties? Why is the U.S. funding both sides of the war? Here's the video. The IDF drops off a media bomb on the UN. Armed Hamas terrorists walked around and fired fire weapons inside UNRWA's Central Logistics Warehouse compound in Rafah and near UN vehicles. Makes you wonder about these, the relationship. See, he's putting his gun inside the truck, the UN truck. Yeah, kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah. What is the relationship between the two? Yeah. All right. Gateway pundit, oops, Biden accidentally leaked Democrat plan to steal the 2024 election. Elijah Schaefer, top 5. All right, let's check it out.
Our top story today, if you're paying attention, Biden just told us how Democrats plan to rig and steal the 2024 election. We have this story and so much more to unpack here on the Gateway Pundits Week in Review. My name is Elijah Schaefer, and this is the Gateway Pundits Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours in around 10 minutes. Our top story today from thegatewaypundit.com, Biden might have just leaked the Democrats' plan to rig and steal the election. Here's what it has to say. Biden did it again. A feeble, decrepit, brain-dead old man with dementia and diapers is ruining the country. Have you heard? And people with dementia often spill the beans. They have no filter. So they act like little kids. They say whatever's on their minds, secrets come spilling out. Pay attention to Joe Biden. He has dementia and belongs in a nursing home, not the White House. So sometimes secrets come spilling out of his decrepit mouth. The secret to how Democrats plan to beat Trump in the 2020 presidential election came spilling out of Biden's decrepit mouth during the 2020 campaign. It goes on to say here, if only we had listened and acted. Biden said, and I quote, we have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Oops. That was on October 24th, 2020. Don't believe me? You can watch the video here on our website. But Biden spilled the beans. He told us how Democrats were going to win. They were going to rig and steal the election and with voter fraud. And they did it. They used mail-in ballots with no voter ID, ballot drop boxes with no oversight, ballot harvesting, a scam that is illegal in every other country in the world, no signature match, and millions of illegal aliens voted too, without voter ID and no one asking about citizenship at the polls. It's easy. That's exactly how the 2020 election was stolen. Old decrepit dementia puppet Biden told us what they planned to do, and they did it. It goes on to say here that Biden said voter fraud. Why didn't anyone listen? Well, old decrepit Joe has done it again. This time, we'd better listen and take action, because out of the mouths of little children and decrepit old men with dementia comes truth. During an interview with a Spanish radio station last week, Biden referred to millions of illegal alien foreign invaders as Hispanic voters. He goes on to say that there it is. That's the Democrat plan to steal the 2024 presidential election. Biden also said 2 other telling things. He said that speaking Spanish is America's future. And he said that the millions of illegal aliens who have crossed his open border into America are the only reason our economy is so good. Oh my gosh. Out of the mouth of babies comes truth. This is the Democrats' new updated plan to intentionally destroy America. Biden just told you. And you should take it seriously, because Biden's not lying when he's saying they're planning on stealing it. That's why there's some more stories that I think is absolutely insane. Speaking of decrepit and old people, Newsmax host Rob Schmidt wins the day with an X response to bitter former lawmaker Liz Cheney, and he's not alone, Jim Hoff reports. Earlier today, Rhino Speaker Mike Johnson, who was led by Democrats in Congress, joined President Trump at his lawfare trial in New York City. Johnson desperately wanted the photo op of himself standing with President Trump after he caved to every single Democrat demand since he was elected speaker. To say he's been a disappointment is an understatement. President Trump on Tuesday was flanked by the North Dakota governor, Doug Burgum, Brian Donalds, and Corey Mills. Millis, and Turncoat Speaker Mike Johnson, the worthless GOP House leader who sides with Democrats and neglects his voting base on every issue possible. It goes on to explain that the side of Speaker Johnson supporting President Trump today was too much for disgraced former Congresswoman Liz Cheney. Cheney, a favorite Democrat and warmonger class, tweeted out, "Have to admit, I'm surprised that Speaker Johnson wants to be in the I cheated on my wife with a porn star club. I guess he's not that concerned with our teaching morality to our young people after all." Oh, Liz Cheney, taking the moral high road once again. This was too much for popular Newsmax host Rob Schmidt, who responded with the winning tweet of the day. Lessons in morality from a Cheney. Ha, lol. Exactly. There it is. That's my first thought. Lessons in morality from a Cheney. That is bold. Speaking of strange circumstances that occurred, Colin Linebarger reports that a former Obama campaign official and her wife were killed in a horrific car accident. Why do people around the Obamas keep dying in these gruesome deaths? Former Barack Obama campaign worker Peggy Moore left and her wife, Hope Wood, right? Tragedy struck as a former Obama campaign worker and her wife lost their lives in a horrific car accident in California last week. NBC Bay Area News reported Monday that Peggy Moore and her wife, Hope Wood, were killed while riding along in the Jeep pickup when it collided with a Chrysler sedan in rural San Diego County at about 11:15 p.m. Friday. The 60-year-old driver of the Jeep, along with the Chrysler driver, were also killed. One passenger in the Jeep managed to survive the accident. The medical examiner at the scene only identified Wood, 48, but Facebook post on Sunday by the East Bay Stonewall Democratic Club revealed they died together in the crash. The 60-year-old Moore previously served as the president of the club. Suspicious. I don't have a lot to say about that, but it is something newsworthy and notable. In other news, the White House admits that Biden-led a witch hunt trial against Trump is related to the 2024 elections. Don't listen to me. Watch the video for yourself. It's quite interesting. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre talking about this. Listen.
For Speaker Johnson to show up at the trial of the former president today?
So look, I can't speak to, don't want to comment, obviously, as this is related to 2024 elections, and I can't speak to the speaker's schedule. That is something for him to decide on. And let's not forget, this is also connected to a independent judicial process. So going to be really mindful. And he makes his choices on what he does, with his business. That is his choice to be made. What I can speak to is obviously what the president is speaking to today as it relates to 301 tariffs, making sure that he's protecting American workers, protecting American businesses, making sure that when we're allowed to compete in a fair way, we can thrive. And that's what you heard from this president. And what we've learned and we've seen from what the speaker is obviously leading in with congressional Republicans is that they want to cut Medicare, they want to cut they want to cut Social Security. They want to get rid of things that the American people truly, truly care about. And so our focus is going to continue to build an economy from the bottom up, the middle out. This is something that we can speak to. I think the contrast between what we do here and what Republicans, more broadly, Republicans in Congress do is, I think, couldn't be more stark.
Interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Explaining that perhaps, right, obviously, as this is related to the 2024 elections, and I can't speak to the speaker's schedule. We knew that it was related. We've always known. We've always understood this. It's just gotten out of hand, genuinely. And our last story is absolutely weird. I honestly don't understand it, but it was popular, so you guys were reading this. Netflix subjects an audience to a fully erect penis as disgusted viewers slam low-grade porn. BenQ reports, Netflix is coming under fresh criticism after needlessly subjecting its British viewers to a man with a fully erect penis. In what is being described as low-grade porn, the streaming giant appeared to break the ultimate taboo by showing a man experiencing the effects of Viagra. Netflix was heavily criticized last night after British viewers were confronted with a fully erect penis in the new drama. Viewers, MPs, and school campaigners were shocked at the closing episode of the streaming giant's 6-part series, A Man in Full. Actor Tom Pelphrey drops his bedsheet after taking Viagra to reveal himself to co-star Jeff Daniels in the adaptation of Tom Wolfe's best-selling 1998 novel. It is believed to be the first time a mainstream drama on British TV has broken the erect penis taboo, and there was no prior warning about the graphic nudity. It has highlighted worries about regulation of streaming services with concern that children are at risk. And the Brits, they love their nudity. Anyway, thank you so much again for watching the Gateway Pundits Weekend Review. Have a great rest of the week. My name is Elijah Schaefer, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.
All right. Elijah Schaefer was actually pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah. All right. MJ Truth Ultra says, sit rep, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, has been shot. What happened? Fico was taken to the hospital after being shot several times at close range. The shooting happened in Handlova, about 90 miles northeast of the capital of Bratislava. Here we go. Are you going to come up or not? There.
Ak mal niekto iný názor na očkovanie proti covidu, bol nebezpečný pre spoločnosť. Média otvorene písali, veď si to pamätáte, ja teraz citujem, že každý nezaočkovaný by mal kvíriť od bolesti ako prasa. Ba treba aj použiť silu, ak niekto odmieta politiku ihly. A dnes sa ukazuje, že náš slobodný pohľad na očkovanie a opatrenia vlády v boji proti covidu, hrubo porušujúce ľudské práva, bol správny a opodstatnený. Jedna štúdia za druhou potvrdzujú škandalózne dôsledky masívneho očkovania nepreskúšanými experimentálnymi vakcínami. Áno, potvrdzujem, ako predseda strany a potvrdzujem to aj ako predseda vlády, že podporím úsilie niektorých politikov novej vládnej koalície politicky zhodnotiť, čo to tu vláda v rokoch 2020 až 2021 vystrájala a pozrieť sa aj na finančnú stránku plošných, často úplne nezmyselných nákupov zdravotníckych pomôcok a vakcín. Rovnako veľmi jasne prehlasujem, že Smer Slovenská sociálna demokracia nebude podporovať posilnenie právomocí Svetovej zdravotníckej organizácie na úkor suverénnych štátov pri riadení boja proti pandémii. Poviem to, že takýto nezmysel mohli vymyslieť len nenažraté farmaceutické firmy, ktoré začali vnímať odpor niektorých vlád proti povinnej vakcinácii. Podľa Ústavy Slovenskej republiky sa na platnosť takýchto medzinárodných dohôd v prospech Svetovej zdravotníckej organizácie vyžaduje súhlas Národnej rady Slovenskej republiky. A ja neverím, že suverénne slovenské politické strany takýto súhlas vyslovia. Smer a jeho poslanci určite nie. Ak otvorene poviete, že treba radšej roky rokovať o miery, ako roky nechať Slovanov navzájom sa zabíjať s jediným cieľom oslavovať Rusko. Ak toto hovoríme, a naozaj to doteraz nefunguje, tak ste automaticky označovaní za agenta Kremľa. Ak otvorene poviete, že veľká časť finančnej a vojenskej pomoci končí v rozsiahlej korupcii na Ukrajine, možno najväčšej korupcii na svete, tak vás označia za politicky nekorektného, aj keď máte pravdu a vaši oponenti vedia, že hovoríte absolútnu pravdu. Pozastavenie členstva Smeru v strane európskych socialistov je len trestom za našu suverenitu a odvahu stáť si za vlastným názorom. A hovorím to nahlas pred celým Slovenskom a pred celým svetom. Smer nie je plechový kohút na streche, ktorý sa otáča ako fúka vietor a nikdy.
And there's the assassin, attempted assassin. He's still alive so far. We haven't had word yet, but this guy has been standing up, and he's not going to go for the World Health Organization's new mandate that all the countries have to turn over sovereignty to them. And that's the reason that they went after him. Breaking: Peru classifies trans and non-binary people as mentally ill. Boy, they couldn't do that while Dylan Mulvaney was down there. Yeah, maybe they would have kept him, you know. Harriet for the win. Carla Boone again. Here we go. Let's see.
We'll go to gentlelady. We'll go to gentlelady from Wyoming, then gentleman from Florida.
Mr. Chair, I'd ask
Thank you.
unanimous consent.
Excuse me, this is, oh,
I'll get you as soon as we go after this. Just
Okay.
unanimous consent? Are you
Yes,
gonna-
just unanimous consent to enter the mandate for leadership.
Without objection.
Um,
Without objection. The
Thank-
gentlelady from Wyoming is recognized.
well, thank you. And if it seems like there might be a dog in this hunt on the other side, what you need to understand is that Mr. Goldman, the novice representative from New York, actually does have a personal stake in this case. He has stated that he has been involved with the Bragg case, helping to prepare Mr. Cohen for his testimony. So he is quite closely aligned with an admitted and convicted liar and perjurer. He's also paid the Judge Merchant's daughter's firm over $150,000 for her services. So I think we've got quite a conflict of interest from Mr. Dan Goldman, the novice representative from New York. And just one other thing to keep in mind when considering the hostility from the folks on the other side of this aisle is that the ranking member of this
Mr. Chair,
particular
I would move
committee
to have
was
that
Jeffrey
stricken from the record,
Epstein's
to have that
fixer.
phrase taken down.
The ranking member was Jeffrey Epstein's fixer. So I think that that might give you
Excuse
some
me,
idea of
I
why
would
you see
ask
this
that
hostility.
Hang on, the
statements be
gentlelady,
taken down.
gentlelady, the
to
ranking
Mr.
member is
Goldman.
recognized.
I would ask that the statements regarding conflict of interest related to Mr. Goldman be stricken down from the record. Engaging in personal personalities.
In your
on this
14-minute and 14-second opening statement, you called the former president, current candidate for the office of president of the United States, all kinds of names. I think
He's not a member of this
I
committee.
understand he's not a member, but
And
he's
that's what I'm
still
asking.
a former
you related
president.
to.
What I'm saying is we should
I'm
all be
related
careful
to
about it.
our
I think the
member.
gentlelady from Wyoming was just stating facts that are in the news report.
She accused him of a conflict of interest
Yeah,
on
she
the
did.
committee during the hearing. I asked that that be
Yeah,
stricken.
she did. He's paying the fucking
Gentlelady's point of
judge's
order
daughter off.
overruled the gentlelady from.
Yeah, the ranking member on the other side there needs a gag. Yeah. All right. I mean, therefore, I am. New York City has a serious mental health issue. But I'm glad that Adams is prioritizing funding to illegal immigrants.
I don't know. No, he's
Why can't any of these freaky people who strip naked and everything, why can't any of them be good looking? Seriously, why can't any of them be good looking? Every time we see these people, they're always overweight. You know what I'm saying? Can't we have one good looking crazy person? Just one good looking crazy person? Come on. I mean, I'm just saying, all right? You know, I mean, I'm not going to go out in public and take off my clothes because I know what I look like, okay? It ain't happening, okay? But, I mean, if I've got to look at other people, can't we have at least one good-looking naked person? Just one? They all got to be, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to fat shame anybody or anything like that. But seriously, guys, just one. Can I have just one? Please. Oh, I'm getting worked up over here, okay? It's getting hot in here. All right, here we go. Wall Street Apes. All right. Illegal immigrants released from Venezuelan jails coming into America with tattoos of AK-47s on their face. This is Joe Biden's America. Here we go.
December 18th of this past year, I'm on the ground there in Eagle Pass, and 12,500 people came across in 24 hours. And those were the ones that were released out of Venezuelan jails, mostly. So if you think that guys with tattoos of AK-47s on the side of their head are something you want to welcome in this country without a vetting process, you're part of the problem. You are part of the invasion. December 18th of this.
Yep. Part of the problem. Here's a reminder of the last debate. McGuilifornia says, what was Team Biden thinking? Oh, boy.
And I resent.
Are you talking
Mike
about
Hill.
Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah,
Hunter
you know
got
Bo.
thrown. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. He
for
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. Once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made a
son,
fortune.
my son,
and he didn't have a job.
my son, like a lot of people we know at home, had a drug problem. He's overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right, but he
dollars?
wasn't given
All right,
tens of
he was
millions of
given
dollars. That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's
dollars.
totally discredited.
We've already been
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would rather hear about more substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make a,
I know,
a
but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million
Okay, great.
from the
Let's
mayor
talk
of
about
Moscow,
Let's talk
That is
about
not true.
Gentlemen,
That report is totally
Why did he get
discredited.
it?
Mitt Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers' money. That report is written for political reasons.
You know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay.
And we all know that real climate change is people's attitudes. That's what it is. People's attitudes. That's what the real climate change is. It's got nothing to do with the freaking weather. Nothing to do with it whatsoever. It's the climate of the people around you. That's what it is. Okay, whether it's people suffering through mental illness or just outright craziness or just the fear of waking up and realizing that they were wrong. Yeah, you know. Well, you gotta love McGuilifornia. He puts out some great stuff along with the Dilly meme team. You know, they put out a lot of great content. I have great respect for those guys who are just, you know, trying to put truth out there, and you know, you just gotta go with it, right? All right. I mean, therefore, I am new. Students stabbed and slashed at 2 separate New York City schools within hours. And the first accident happened in Graphics High School in Manhattan when families were arriving for a junior ROTC ceremony. The school was on lockdown. One student was slashed in the face. Another was stabbed in the stomach. Another stabbing took place outside Queens High School of Teaching Liberal Arts and Sciences in Queens. Well, they just had 2 things there in that one title that basically tells you what's going on there. Liberal for 2, okay, and Sciences in the other. And if you want to go for a third, Queens. Yeah, okay. So generally you get all 3 of them mixed together, you know, because liberal Queens believe in science. Yeah. A student suffered injuries to his back and his arm. Are you glad the New York City Democrats' priorities are to fund illegals and abortion clinics instead of worrying about the safety of children and government-run schools? Here we go.
I think it's very unfortunate that we send our children to school to be safe and it's not a safe environment.
Tense moments on the campus of Stephen Mather High School as 2 teens get into a violent fight.
There were several students that were taking an AP test, and next thing you know, all we heard was just full-on yelling in the hallways.
A 15-year-old boy slashed in the face. A 17-year-old boy stabbed in the chest. Sources say at least one student may have used a scalpel not unlike what you'd find in biology class.
I'm just a little shaken up because, like, it's just unexpected. I've never, like, dealt with anything like this before. It's just, like, weird, you know?
It's unclear what led up to the altercation. We're told both teenagers will be okay.
Scary, stressful, and disappointed because nowadays teenagers, like, they're acting like they know everything, you know, stabbing anybody for no reason. That's very alarming.
The campus houses 4 schools with kids as young as kindergarten. All of them went into lockdown. It also prevented families from entering the building for the junior ROTC graduation, a rite of passage for young cadets.
Today was my daughter's JRCT meeting show. They had an award today. And guess what? I've been out there for 3 hours, couldn't get in the building. Sad. We have pre-K, we have high schools in there, 11th grade, 10th, 12th grades, and younger. The children are not safe.
A slashing also occurred in Queens about the same time this was unfolding. In that case, an 18-year-old was stabbed in the back and slashed in the arm as he left Queens High School of Teaching Liberal Arts and Sciences. Although police don't know who did it, the teen did say he had gotten into a dispute hours earlier.
Just crazy. Just crazy. And in all actuality, if you think about it, we've been watching a lot of these young people doing a lot of stupid things, you know, beating up people, beating up old people, robbing people, and everything else. You know, and normally in most cases like this, I would say what comes around goes around. But the fact of the matter is, these are young kids, you know, that are experiencing this, and it's not something that should be going on, period. You know, it just shouldn't be, not one bit. Here's where Biden challenges Trump to a debate in scripted video a week after he was caught again reading directly off the teleprompter. Shipwreck put this out. Here we go.
Donald Trump lost 2 debates to me in 2020. Since then, he hadn't shown up for debate. Now he's acting like he wants to debate me again. Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald. I hear you're free on Wednesdays.
Do it. Do it. We're all tired. We need some entertainment. Just last week, Joe Biden got caught reading straight off the teleprompter again. Pause. Trump has been goading Joe Biden for many, many months now in order to debate. The reason that he didn't debate any of the other Republican candidates or like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is because he was already ahead. He was already ahead in all the polls. He was already ahead in every aspect. Debating them at this point would either cost him or it would break even. There would be no point. But he needs to debate Joe Biden. We need to get Joe Biden on the national stage in front of everybody. Live as you can possibly get. Is it going to make, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I don't know. If you were voting for Joe Biden at this point, I don't know that there's going to be much else that man can do in order to get you to not vote for him. I think a lot of people still won't vote for Donald Trump, but I think those people are just going to stay home, which then is a vote for Donald Trump. But we need this debate. If for nothing else, entertainment purposes only.
I'm not going to say that it's for entertainment purposes only. This is for, it's news, right? It's news. No matter how you think of it, it's news. Okay. And I hate that these platforms force people to have to say, well, this is for entertainment purposes only. That's kind of BS. Okay. People should be able to put it out for exactly what it is. Truth, period. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. It's frustrating to watch that happen, you know. All right. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says, saving democracy by canceling elections. Well, listen, if you're trying to save democracy, you got no place here. Okay. Because I don't live in a democracy. I live in a republic, a constitutional republic. Okay. America is funding a war that is slaughtering an entire generation of Ukrainian men. Well, no, America is not. Okay, the United States of America Corporation is who is funding, okay, that war. And unfortunately, they are stealing the American people's money in order to do this. Okay, so let's get that fact straight, Miss Green. Okay, does Ukraine really support the war, or do they want peace? No, they want more fancy houses. They want more yachts. They want a retirement pay for all their people so that when they run off in all the different directions, that because they know it's coming, okay, that they have the money to survive for as long as possible. That's what they want, okay? Or do they want peace? And why won't America allow them to vote on that? Well, I look at it like this. I don't give a shit what they do in Ukraine. I don't care about Ukraine. I don't care about the Ukrainian people. I don't care about the Ukrainian government. I don't care about the Ukrainian military. I don't. And I shouldn't have to. They're on the other side of the world, and I don't give two shits. What I care about is my own country and where the tax dollars that I pay and that my fellow Americans pay goes. That's what I care about. Lord Bebo says elections in Ukraine will take place when all Ukrainians can vote. All of them. Blinken. Blinken's this guy's a traitor. Just no ands, ifs, or buts about it. But let's go ahead.
Working with the government and civil society groups to shore up Ukraine's election infrastructure. That way, as soon as Ukrainians agree the conditions allow, all Ukrainians, including those displaced by Russia's aggression, can exercise their right to vote. People in Ukraine and around the world can have confidence that the voting process is free, fair, secure.
Yeah, if it's anything like, if you're setting it up anything like an American election, I would tell the Ukrainians, don't do it. That's what I'd tell them. Yeah, if they start sending you folks in Ukraine mail-in ballots, mail them back with a big middle finger attached to them. Yep. Ultra MAGA Party, why is nothing you are doing working?
Thanks, Green. Why do you think Americans are so down on President Biden right now?
What do you mean?
It doesn't seem like anything you guys are doing is making him more popular. Why do you think that is?
Like, we understand. We are sensitive enough and open-minded enough to understand that this is, that not just this country, but globally, people have had to deal with a pandemic. And coming out of that pandemic, we understand that because of Putin's war, what that has occurred, that led to gas prices increasing. And the president had a lot to deal with when he walked in. A lot of crises. So, look, we know it's going to take a little bit of time. We get that.
I get that you understand that people are hurting right now. Why is it that nothing you're doing to address their concerns is working?
What I'm saying is we're going to continue to do the work. I can't speak to the polls, right? Those are for folks who are experts who can do a deep dive and look into that and speak to them. What I can speak to is we understand what the American people is feeling. We understand what they're going through. That's why we're going to continue to do the work. What the president is actually doing is popular with what majority of Americans want to do.
You are a lying sack of cockapooyum sakapoopy. That means your kid wear a very dirty diaper, okay?
So that part I certainly disagree with you on. Gotcha.
Yeah, a large number of Americans think that you and your boss should be in prison. That's what most of us think. That's what the largest majority of the population of the United States think. That you, along with your boss and his cackling hen, all should be in prison. That's what we think. Well, now, this makes so much sense. Pammy Who says,
Gen X.
Silly Timmy, why didn't you think of this earlier? X, all this X. Twitter changing its name to X. The X during the solar eclipse thing. X marks the spot. All this XXX. Why? Generation X was activated. The last first. It's going in reverse. They're removing the frequency barriers. Gen X is activated. You get what I'm saying? A lot of this is going to go right over people's heads. But if you're awake, you know what I mean. If you're holding the consciousness, you know what I'm talking about. Wow. That, and my ears are ringing like crazy. Oh my God. It's DNA activation. XYZ. DNA activation. Just breathe, guys. We appreciate you. No, I'm not Gen X. I'm unfortunately a millennial, but that's nothing bad. But I'm 1990. So I'm like in the middle of, you know what I mean? We kind of get a bad rap, the millennials, look at what they've done, but actually, it was DNA activation. Love you.
I don't consider myself Gen X, Gen A, Gen B, Gen C. I just consider myself born in the 60s and pissed off at what I see. Yeah. So, all right. Dang. We need more of this fire. That's what Tony says. Would you vote for her?
What happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. We used to be strong, America. Now, there's a bunch of pussies crying in politics and on social media. I need the Lions of America to wake up and help me take this nation back from the weak men and women that have sent our sons and daughters to die in wars that they profit from. General Flynn said it best: when there's war, there's a failure in diplomacy. And under President Trump, the world was at peace. And let me tell you something, I really miss those mean tweets right about now. President Trump, I have your back. What happened to...
I'll be sharing another one of her posts here in a minute, because after she posted this, she got a lot of hate. A lot of hate. Oh boy, a whole lot of hate. Yeah. Anyone recognize this guy?
What's that? Where are you from?
We are from Turkey.
Where are you going?
We are going to US. Right now we are in US. So
Why did
you are
leave,
recording to us?
Why did you leave Turkey?
Because we have reasons. We have reasons about it. Why you are recording to us?
Because we're recording everybody. What's that? Where are you from?
We are from Turkey.
Where are you going?
We are going to US. Right now we are in US. So
And for some reason, this guy's face does look very, very familiar. I don't know why. I don't know why, but something about his face. Yeah. I'd like to actually, let's take a look at the comments and see if anybody has said who he is. This guy claims he lives in Los Angeles, told me he went to go care for his mom before she passed away. Now that she passed away, he chose this route to get back into the country rather than using a legal port of entry. Child trafficker, what is this cap? It's not official. Is that a child with him? Well, yeah, it was somebody young. How does someone from Turkey need asylum? Who is that? UN soldier, terrorist. I think he is a terrorist. See if there's more replies and see if anybody gets close to it. Sketchy as fuck. What is this cap? It's not official. All right. Well, we'll find out soon enough. Somebody's going to end up finding the info on him and posting it. So we'll go from there. All right. Shadow of Ezra. In October 2023, Slovakia's new prime minister, Robert Fico, announced that he would immediately stop delivering arms to Ukraine. We will no longer supply arms to Ukraine. The war in Ukraine is not ours. We have nothing to do with it. Then in January of this year, he said, the only way to end Russia's war against Ukraine is for Kiev to give up some of its territory to the invaders, and reiterated his opposition to NATO membership for Ukraine. He also called the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty a fabrication of pharma companies and said it would threaten his country's national sovereignty. It was reported a few days ago that Slovakia would not support the current version of the pandemic treaty or any draft amendments to it. And yep. So here he is with, he is pro-Russian, and just a few days ago, Politico ran a hit piece about him trying to dismantle the free press. I don't think so. I think he was speaking pretty freaking freely, if you know what I'm saying. All right. Nick Sortor, breaking: a barge has hit the Pelican Island Bridge in Galveston, Texas, causing a partial collapse. Chemicals from the barge are now flooding into the waters. Now, I know a bunch of you guys are in Texas, so if anybody can find any local information about that and pass it on to me, I'd appreciate it. No, Marcella, no, that's a different guy. That was a oh Lord, and I know the guy's name that you're speaking of too. But no, that's not the same guy. But thank you for asking that. That's yeah. Okay. Bruce breaking: Michael Cohen's former attorney reveals huge news. Cohen didn't actually believe the Stormy Daniels allegation. Cohen paid Stormy Daniels all on his own. Trump had nothing to do with it. And if I'm not mistaken, this is before Hamilton
because he
left.
I knew my own wife thing.
Oh, no.
Himself back into the inner circle.
Okay, so that's Costello again. I have another one coming up here where the guy who had to himself because of a previous engagement, Hamilton does some speaking and answers some questions for the congressmen and senators that are there, and it was pretty interesting, the comments that he had to say. All right. Older millennial. Why would any jury in the right fucking minds believe Michael Cohen? Let's take a listen. Here we go.
The fact that the entire case against President Trump hinges on the testimony of Michael Cohen is ridiculous. Do y'all understand who Michael Cohen is? Do you want to know a little tidbit of his history? So first off, Michael Cohen is a lawyer who has been disbarred. He is never allowed to practice law again in his life. Why was he disbarred? Because this is what he was convicted of. He was convicted of 5 counts of tax evasion. He was convicted of bank fraud, campaign finance violations, perjury before the court, and perjury before Congress. Now, all of these crimes together carry a maximum sentence of 90 years. He was sentenced to 3 and served 13 months. And then, as a condition of his probation, he had to help out a law office. And he didn't do that. But he told the judge he did. And he falsified records and gave them to the judge. That means he committed the crime of falsifying records to a judge and, once again, perjury. Now, they're actually holding off on prosecuting on these to see how he does against Trump. But I have no doubt the Trump team is going to bring up those crimes. But this is a dude who has been convicted of 90 fucking years worth of crimes, 90 years worth of federal felonies. And then he committed 2 more crimes while he was on probation. And he is the only fact witness against Trump. That is the person the jury is supposed to believe. Because the funniest thing is that all the crimes they're trying to convict Trump of, Michael Cohen has been on the stand admitting to doing those crimes, except he's saying Donald Trump told him to do it. He has no evidence that Donald Trump told him to do it. We're just supposed to take his word, the word of a man who has been convicted of 90 years worth of federal felonies, and then is about to be convicted of a couple more crimes because he fucked around on probation. That's who the jury's supposed to believe. The fact that this trial is even still going on is a miscarriage of justice. Michael Cohen should still be in fucking prison. He shouldn't have only got 3 years to begin with. He should have served a hell of a lot more than 13 months, but they needed him out so he could testify against Trump before the election. Make no mistake, that's the only reason he's out of jail. And the minute this trial is over, Michael Cohen is going back to prison. But yeah, the jury's supposed to believe him. Get the fuck out of here.
And he's right. He should have got a lot more. All right. Defeating Liz Cheney and getting this marvelous woman is one of the best things that ever happened in Washington, D.C. Here we go.
Participants were created with the intent of securing a defendant's right to a fair trial and ensure efficient administration of justice.
It's precisely correct. And it's in fact usually intended to prevent the prosecution from making extrajudicial statements that are going to be prejudicial to the defendant's rights.
And Mr. Trustee, I think that you testified that in all of your years of experience, you've never seen a circumstance where a defendant had a gag order imposed against them. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And would it be fair to say that while such an order is intended to guarantee a defendant's Sixth Amendment right, it also at certain times could raise First Amendment issues?
It does.
Okay. In Bragg's political persecution of Donald Trump, Judge Merchan instituted an unconstitutional gag order against the defendant, President Trump. Yet Judge Merchan has levied no such order against any of the other trial participants like Michael Cohen, who continue to publicly attack Mr. Trump. Mr. Hamilton, is the gag order issued by Judge Merchan a significant departure from the normal order of business? And does it reveal the First and Sixth Amendment tensions which underlie this case?
Most certainly does.
And why does President Trump face such a legally questionable gag order in this case? Well, simply put, it's because it is a classic example of lawfare being employed by Democrats against their political opponent, weaponizing the various branches and levels of government, something that we have seen in the last 8 years that has been absolutely shocking to the conscience. DA Bragg resurrected a zombie case and is using a novel legal theory which has not even been explained to the defendant or the jury. He selected Matthew Colangelo as lead prosecutor, a former Biden DOJ official and DNC consultant, and Judge Merchan, who made campaign donations to President Biden and the Democrat Party during the 2020 election, and whose daughter's firm worked for the Biden and now Harris campaigns, is overseeing the case and imposing speech restrictions on a person Judge Merchan called, quote, possibly the next president of the United States. Judge Merchan went so far in the last 2 weeks as threatening to jail a former president and presumptive major party nominee for violating an order which infringes on his free speech rights. Writing in The Federalist, Tom Christ analyzes how lawfare offers benefits and a means of victory regardless of the outcome of the courtroom, which is causing as much pain as possible and treating the defendant like an enemy versus the defendant. I want that to sink in. Watching Judge Merchan, it is very apparent that he is treating President Trump as an enemy, not a party and not a defendant. Mr. Hamilton, do you think the gag order falls into this playbook and serves an additional lawfare benefit for the left in that it can be used to enact an even larger legal burden on Donald Trump for simply exercising his right to free speech?
Yes, I do. And in fact, quite frankly, when you have a gag order like that, or when you have abuses of processes like this, as my colleagues have alluded to before, the pain in the process is the goal. That's really the goal here. Whether they get a conviction, whether they get any kind of civil fine or judgment, it's not necessarily the ultimate objective. The ultimate objective is to cause pain to the political opponent, and that's what they're doing to Donald Trump.
One of the things that I have observed as an attorney who was a trial attorney for 34 years, is that Judge Merchan is making such blatant reversible errors. He absolutely knows that if there is a conviction in this case, it will be reversed on appeal. And it's as though he is attempting to do that because he knows that no such appeal would actually take place prior to November, yet he would have a conviction on the books, which is the classic, and I think in this case exposes the way in which they are using lawfare against President Biden or against President Trump. I have never seen a judge make the kind of errors that this judge has made in this case before. And I think he recognizes that if there is a conviction, it would be overturned on appeal. That is what our justice system has turned into because of the law being waged by the Democrats. It has to end. Thank you for being here.
All right. Yeah, I love this lady. I think she brings up a whole bunch of valid points. Real quick, thank you, Chessboard, for sending that over to me. You are very much appreciated. This is a live feed on what's going on there in the bridge. We're going to listen to see if they're doing any talking or not. And we'll kind of skip through it a little bit to see what exactly is going on. So the part of the bridge that got taken out was where railroad tracks are, I see. Maybe that's a repair section or something, but I mean, these rails are stacked up over here, so I don't see where they actually damaged the mainstay part of the bridge. So it looks like traffic. Yeah, see, traffic is still moving across there, even though that looks like a DOT. Oh no, that's not a DOT truck. Oh, it could be. Yeah, let's jump forward a few minutes here, see if we get another angle. Okay, so this is the section that came off of it, and this is was basically just setting up. Yeah, it's a railroad section of it. It doesn't really look like it's well constructed at all. I mean, isn't the Department of Transportation responsible for making sure that these bridges and stuff are built to satisfactory and safe, safe type of structure? And you think about it, if I don't think that automobile bridges and train bridges should be intertwined in any way, shape, or form. Because if something happened with the train, then that would deplete the usage of the traffic being able to use that bridge for automobiles, and vice versa. If something happened on that train, on that bridge with vehicles, then it would stop the trains from being able to, that is some type of chemicals. I have no idea what kind. There's no audio to this, so it's not saying, what exactly is spilling, but there is some type of chemical spill going on. Yeah, let's fast forward a little bit more, see if we see anything else here. Thank you, Chessboard, for sending that to me. I appreciate that very much. And guys, that's how, if you want to send me clips, you got to send them to my email, because if you're posting them in the chat, I can't grab them through StreamYard. I'd have to open up YouTube. And if I open up YouTube to the channel that we're broadcasting on, then we end up having issues. And generally, I end up getting kicked out of StreamYard and have to reboot the computer and everything else. So, yeah, I have no idea what type of barge that is or anything. So, I have no experience with barges, so I couldn't tell you what exactly that thing is. I know what garbage barges are, obviously, from living in New York. We used to see the garbage getting hauled up the Hudson quite often, going to offload and stuff. So I actually used to think that they used to take it out in the middle of the ocean and dump it. And after seeing all the islands of plastic out in the middle of the ocean, I wouldn't doubt it. So it was carrying vacuum gas oil. Okay. Yeah. So there's going to be a bunch of dead fish because of this. No doubt about that. Eco-friendly. It's not. And that barge, it doesn't even look like there's any place for that barge to actually go through on this bridge at all. So what would that barge be doing anywhere near this bridge? I mean, look at the size of the opening that would have to be there in order for that barge to pass through. And I'm not seeing any entry point that is big enough to contain that large of a vessel to be able to go through it. Yeah, that wouldn't fit through any of these. That wouldn't fit through any of this. So what exactly is that barge doing there? And then you got this big old pole in the middle of the water. That's basically like a warning point. Don't go any closer. You're not going to fit, Yep, doesn't make sense to me at all. Yeah, and there's the leakage coming out. And you notice there's nobody on this side of the bridge trying to contain that oil spill. None whatsoever. They're just letting it go. Okay, so it looks like this is the only spot right here, and that part looks like a drawbridge area. So boy, are they way off. I mean, this is all the way over here by the edge. And this, again, this is why I'm saying that they shouldn't be railroad trains, should not be attached to vehicle bridges whatsoever. They should be separate. I understand that it's additional cost in order to build a separate structure for that, but that's exactly what needs to happen. This is uncool. Definitely not eco-friendly in any way, shape, or form. All right. So let's get back to our X feed here. Okay. This is where I was telling you about the second one of Valentia Gomez, Missouri Republican running for Secretary of State, has triggered liberals with her videos. I'm here for it. Let the meltdown continue.
There's a lot of Hamas people coming for me on my social media. My address is public, so fuck around.
Yep. Just that simple. Yep. Correct, John. Yep. John says there's no tug on it. No tugboat on it. Yep. That as well. Anytime you're going through a port like that, that's exactly what should be going on. There should be a tug on each side of you, guiding and bumpering you. That's what they're there for, to ensure that you're going, the right way. And it didn't appear that there was. All right. Nature Girl says the math ain't mathin'. That's what this girl's talking about. Let's take a listen.
While y'all distracted by everything else, I'm watching the news and I'm trying to understand why Congress keeps saying that Social Security is running out and by 2035 we're not gonna have enough for everybody. That's not making sense to me. That math not mathing. Because we all are contributing to Social Security. Every time we get a paycheck, they're taking Social Security and Medicare out of our paychecks. So how is it running out? And I don't understand why it's going into a pool, because you already know America don't give everybody their fair share. Honestly, the Social Security that I'm putting in should go into a trust for me. So when I'm 65, I get access to my trust, my money, whatever I put in, whatever work I did from the age of 18 to 65, and the amount of money that I contributed to Social Security, that should go directly to me. It shouldn't go into a pool, and then that money, if I put money into it, and by the time I get to it, it's spent up, I don't get any of it. I think it has to do with the government misallocating funds as usual, taking all of our money, lumping it up into a big bucket, and taking out whatever they want to take out. And then when it comes to actually giving the money back to the citizens and us having money for retirement, they're like, oh no, we don't have enough yet, because y'all done bottomed out the goddamn cash bag, giving money to different countries, putting money up for football stadiums, putting money up for all this other stuff other than helping the American people. I don't understand why Social Security does not go into a specific account for each American person. The same way they know that how much money we owe to the IRS is the same way they know how much money we've contributed to Social Security. And everybody should get their share of whatever they've contributed to Social Security. It should not go into no pool. Like, that doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense that they're saying that we're going to run out of Social Security if they're taking money out of everybody's paychecks every single day. There's no day that they don't take Social Security out of somebody's paycheck.
Okay. I'm telling you. What are they? Gen Z? Is that what these kids are called nowadays? Well, they're learning. They're learning. They're beginning to understand this baiting that's going on and the theft that's going on, this is one guy that I'll stand up for because I believe in his work and I believe in his integrity. I tell you, I don't trust anybody, but verify. It's the idea of verifying research to corroborate. Okay. And Script Keeper Elect has been one of the most consistent posters that I have seen on here. And he just doesn't go out attacking people. Okay. Now, he did go after Phil because he had the receipts to go after Phil. Okay. But, you know, it's so basically he's responding to Mike Gill, okay, stating this is clout chasing. My record speaks for itself. Mike Gill attacked him. He didn't attack Mike Gill. Mike Gill attacked him. Okay. I don't keep claiming I'm doing this and doing that. I help people. A ton of regular Americans came to my defense yesterday because Mr. Pandora called me a grifter. We have been speaking about Flynn since Linwood and Flynn stopped talking. I'm a rapper. I still haven't seen Mikey post my music. A grifter is a con artist, someone who swindles people out of money through fraud. If there's one type of person you don't want to trust, it's a grifter, someone who cheats others out of money. Grifters are also known as chiselers, defrauders, gougers, scammers, swindlers, and flim-flam men. What does grifting mean in slang? To obtain money or property illicitly, as in a confidence game, intransitive verb, to acquire money or property illicitly. Get it? It's kind of like the mortgage game. I lend you a mortgage, but if you don't pay your taxes, we take it away. Even if you own the house, the government or bank owns the land. They take it away. Hedge funds, slush funds, BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. There's your grift. How many Americans lost their houses and had them snatched up by con men mortgage broking? IMQ, and by definition, we already knew this would happen. I was screaming infiltration of the movement way before it was cool. Well, now the frogs come out to play. You will not call me a grifter. I do not sell life patches. I do not sell products that don't work. I don't even think I've even spoken or posted about my merch since 2022. Oh, I'm sorry. I spoke about my music. Major fail, Mikey. Music and videos is entertainment, kind of like what you do every day. Podcasting is entertainment. Entertainment podcast. Value for the audience is in the entertainment or educational value of the content, from news to experts' takes to narrative shows to funny folks chatting. I'm the latter. Funny folks chatting. I'm chatting with you guys because we're watching and going through all this stuff together. We're one big freaking watch party. That's what we are. You guys just happen to like the way I do it. So that's, you know, you keep coming back. Okay. You know, and you know, so there's lots of comments here in this and everything. But Mike Gill had no reason to go after Script Keeper. None whatsoever. Okay. And the thing is Script Keeper actually, you know, he went through the information that Dave went on and talked about and corroborated everything that Dave said and said, you know, hey, you know, Mike, I got some questions because this information that Dave is showing us, showing receipts, is kind of a little bit off from what you're telling people. You know, yes, I do have puppies. Give me, as a matter of fact, give me 1 second, guys. I want to check on them real quick. Oh, you got one back here, Mom. Yeah, you got one all the way back here, Mom. Yeah. Give me a second. There you go. Yeah, let's get you up there. Right, Mom. There you go. Oh. It's funny, they wiggle themselves around to the point where they're behind Mom, and then they scream, "Mom, your boob's not over here. Can you put your boob over here, please?" It's oh, all right. Okay, let's go ahead. Keep going here. You know, and like I said, you know, in regards to, you know, the Script Keeper, you know, like I said, you know, this guy's never come at anybody that he didn't have a direct reason to come at anybody. Okay. So again, I stand by Script Keeper, you know, the shit that Gil and Michelle Moore are speaking on Script Keeper. Sorry. You're losing more credibility every single day, you know, And the thing is I got people who are listening to Michelle Moore and Mike Gill and calling me up and texting me or emailing me saying, hey, did you see this? Did you see this? Did you see this? But the thing is they're discrediting themselves. Okay, they're discrediting themselves. All we have to do is sit back and watch it happen. That's all we have to do. Okay, we keep looking at the entire narrative from every angle possible, and we will see, buffering, that's a good point. Seems like God would have warned her. Yep. And this is the thing. Being spirit-led, okay? Being spirit-led. Let's look at this on the biblical side of this. Father will lead us in the direction that he needs us to go. He's trying to show us what our purpose is, okay? Where we are most beneficial for his goal, okay? Utilizing the best parts of us, okay, and making changes in us in that process, okay, in order to further his goal, okay? Now, there's a lot of people who they don't believe in the Bible, they don't believe in Jesus Christ, they don't believe in, and all this, but the fact of the matter is this: I would rather believe and be wrong than not believe and be wrong. Those are consequences I would not want to face. Okay. But people, when it comes to invoking the Holy Spirit, okay, and this is what I'm going to say is blaspheming in the name of the Holy Spirit is the only sin you cannot be forgiven for. Understand what I'm saying. Blaspheming in the name of the Holy Spirit is the only sin you cannot be forgiven for. Think about that seriously. Okay. And it's not right to invoke this. The Holy Spirit told me, the Holy Spirit told me, the Holy Spirit told me. Okay. I don't know. It seems that you and the Holy Spirit are having a lot of conversations, and I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Sorry. I prayed on it, and I prayed on it, and I prayed on it, and I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Sorry. But you go ahead, blaspheme on the Holy Spirit, and watch what the outcome in the end is going to be. Okay. That's not going to be good for you. Not going to be good for you at all. Okay. That is the one unforgivable sin. Unforgivable. Everything else can be forgiven with proper repentance. Okay. But blaspheming in the name of the Holy Spirit, that does not work. It doesn't. It's not good. Not good. All right. Concerned citizens, government's remote control of car use installed in car without my consent. And I believe this guy is in Great Britain, in the UK. Here we go.
Government's remote control of car use installed on my car with no informed consent. The government's remote control of car was installed on my car with no informed consent. I bought a Hyundai Kona EV 18 months ago, 71 plate, from a dealer. Lovely guys and great service. The car went in for a maps upgrade and came back as a write-off for me. They took the opportunity to upgrade the BlueLink infotainment software, and when I started it up, I was presented with a new screen saying terms and conditions changed. Normally, I just click OK, as it's just a car, so nothing sinister. But I was bored that day, and as a serial entrepreneur, I had plenty of experience with contracts. So I flipped down a few pages, and then another few, and then 30, and was about to jump out when I read it was now equipped with geofencing and geotiming capabilities. WTF was that? I looked it up. They can set range limits and time limits remotely. The terms say it's not used without consent, and then in brackets, unless required by law. So the last sentence voids the whole thing. I found one country debating geofencing laws. If the car is pre-SOS button, there's no phone card installed and it's not connected. Now, I've had this debate with my wife because she has a 2016 BMW 1 Series. I was just looking for the light, you know, the internal light that you click. There you go. However, in my wife's car, when I clicked the button that I thought was going to switch all the lights on in the car, I then heard a voice say, can I take your details? What's your emergency? Because it's got one of them SOS buttons, which I absolutely hate. So if the car is pre-SOS button, there's no phone card installed and it's not connected. I did lots of research, including a high-tech crash repairers who said some everyday cars are already fully autonomous, just not switched on. All brands are using the same tech platform, just with their own brand names. Wow, this is like revelatory stuff. Geofencing is exactly what they have on shopping trolleys at the supermarket to stop you from taking that supermarket beyond the perimeter, to stop you from taking the trolley beyond the perimeter of the supermarket. It means you're not going to be able to drive your car beyond the limits of what the government have decided that you're allowed to drive it. So all of these conspiracies about 15-minute cities and zones and climate lockdowns, how are they going to implement them? Well, probably with the geofencing capabilities that are built into the car, using the infrastructure that they're already installing in the roads with all the cameras and all the sensors and all the new technology that is going up. And all you've got to do is look for it. Anytime you go out for a drive anywhere, look for all the new cameras and all the new technology that is being installed on all the roads everywhere. You'll see it. Geotiming capabilities. Now, that's interesting because curfews, for example, let's say we introduce a curfew where no one's allowed to drive their car after 7 o'clock. That's all well and good, you might say. Nothing wrong with that. Now, what about if we say no one's allowed to drive their car on a Sunday to save the planet? Well, they'll just switch your car off on a Sunday to save the planet. And that might sound like a really outlandish conspiracy theory, but that's already been discussed. I've already seen articles discussing having save the planet, don't drive your car days and banning people from driving on certain days just to save the planet.
Yeah. So, Brother Ganja, I hope you're still in chat and you heard that. Yeah. You're over there. Yeah. Okay. So, this we're going to go into because I actually made a comment in regards to this. I'm Eugene Binman. I reported Donald Trump's corruption and it cost me my military career. Now I am running for Congress to stop MAGA extremists from banning books, abortion, and IVFs. I will always do the right or do what's right no matter the cost. Please share our new TV ad. And I'm going to share with you.
Served in the U.S. military for 25 years. Blew the whistle on Donald Trump's attempts to extort.
Going after the whistleblower.
19 phone call that led to Donald Trump's first impeachment.
I'm Eugene Binman. I sacrificed my military career to expose Trump's corruption. Now I'm running for Congress to get things done. To stop MAGA extremists from banning books, abortion, and even IVF. I'm Eugene Binman. I approve this message because I'll always do what's right, no matter the cost.
Served in the U.S.
You're a liar, but we'll get into that in a minute. But the older millennial says, first, you didn't lose your military career. You retired as a colonel. Second, you didn't report Donald Trump's corruption. What you did was fabricate bullshit, went before Congress, got called out for it, and was relieved of duty for your lies. Go away. Jason O'Hawk said Eugene should be long gone when Trump wins because he betrayed the president and needs to be charged. Yeah, that's a good one. Here he is with his pal. As a veteran, I knew his kind. Yeah, him and his brother. The shift sandwich. Yep. And my comment is down here somewhere. Where is my comment? Oh, did you take away my comment, you piece of shit? Where is my comment? Wow, he took down my comment. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Let me see. Let me go here and see if my comment comes up here. Oh, here it is. You're a traitor, and we will do everything possible to ensure you're attending your own tribunal. Yeah, that's exactly what should happen right there. Yep. His tribunal, his court-martial, because he did all this while active in the military. Okay. Treason. Gunshot to the head. See you later. Bye. Yeah. That's exactly right. All right. Ray Mata puts out a confidential human source reveals how the United States government is laundering money through NGOs. The NGO Save the Children in Guatemala was just raided in child trafficking sting. We knew about that. We saw a video on that about a week or a week and a half ago.
Your average contract every 6 months was about $600 million to these non-government organizations.
Okay, so every 6 months, the federal government was cutting a check for $600 million to how many organizations?
Ideally, it was just really just one.
The federal government spent over $66 billion on illegal immigrants in 2023.
Over $66 billion
on illegal immigrants in 2023.
But it was Jewish Family Services, and then you had Jewish Family Services who also had these underlying NGOs under them, whether it be Lutheran Family Services, Catholic Family Services, and then all these different family services, but they all have the same parent company.
So you would pay Jewish Family Services, and then they would pay the
We would pay all of the subcontractors, but they all have the same payee for the most part.
So you would pay. You wouldn't just pay Jewish Family Services. You'd pay the whole tree.
They
all had the same payee.
Yeah, pretty much. So you were basically cutting place. It was all going to the same place. Same account for the most part.
So every 6 months, $600 million.
Yeah, in some cases more than that, because they would ask for more money because a lot of times, especially during COVID, they swore up and down that they had to COVID test these people, and then they had to sit and wait for them. There was Loyal Source. There was a government contract called Loyal Source Government Solutions or something like that, LSGF, and that's their medical device for everything. They're at border patrol stations. They're at different ports of entry. They're at different processing centers, and there was a lot of. I mean, those nurses get paid a good amount of money, but a lot of those nurses were cutting bait and working. They would end up going to work at the NGOs, because most of you had these nurses working 9 to 5. Actually, they were working 12-hour days. They're working 12-hour days at the ports of entry and at stations, border patrol stations, and processing centers and stuff like that, and making a decent wage. But then if they went over to the non-governmental organizations, they were working 24 hours a day on standby. They had to live in the hotels or wherever it was, and they were making upwards of 10 grand per week. One nurse, 10 grand per week. And that's just one of them. So you have to think, imagine, why, Why wouldn't you do that? If you were a nurse working for this government contract and you had all of your peers going to this other government contract making 10 grand a week, it's no brainer. And so you're saying that it was an enormous amount of rape washed, but guess who's paying for that? They're turning around and saying, hey, you gave us this, but we also need this. So we need more money for this. And that comes out of a different thing.
Yeah. So this is Reason.com. And they're going to have that's going to be released, I think, in the next week. Okay, I can start this, and then I've got to stop it when the song plays, and then I got to fast forward it to the ending part. This is Scotty Martin. I wish I could play the whole thing because I love what he does with the, how he puts his content together. Unfortunately, because YouTube cracks down on copyright and all that other stuff, we'll have to avoid the song part. I'll mute the audio until the song is over. All right, here we go.
Joining us tonight, John Solomon, award-winning investigative reporter, editor-in-chief of Just the News. John, good to have you with us. A lot to talk about tonight, the unmasking of General Flynn. Who could have imagined where we are tonight, that Judge Sullivan would both encourage a vigorous prosecution from a retired left-wing anti-Trump judge who just had an op-ed published 3 days ago now, and who is being asked to decide whether or not they should go after General Flynn for perjury. This is not only unconscionable, but it is the height of politically corrupt arrogance.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to today has been exasperated by the judge's conduct. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of show for an inevitable conclusion. At the end of the day, these charges are going to be dismissed against General Flynn because the law requires it. When both parties go in as they do in this case, and when there is a preponderance of evidence, as there is in this case, of wrongdoing, the courts have consistently allowed a vacation or vacating of a conviction like this. It's just going to extend the drama a little longer, but it's going to inevitably end up, whether it's at the Supreme Court, the appellate court, or the district court, it's going to end up getting the charges are going to be dismissed.
There is one person in Congress, and that's Lindsey Graham, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, who seems to have both the command of the levers in this particular moment with the Judiciary Committee, who has the power to really investigate the investigators, as he promised he would do almost a year and a half ago, but has done nothing. What the president is encouraging him to call former President Obama. Why is Graham doing everything in his power, it seems, to simply ignore his responsibilities, to spew nonsense and blather, seeming at one point to support the president, at the next to support unknown figures in the deep state, or perhaps even amongst the Democrats? It is quite an act that he is putting on. It is not a performance.
Yeah, listen, I think there's some good news for those of us who've wanted transparency and accountability, which is finally, and I do say finally, Lindsey Graham has scheduled a hearing to dig into these very serious issues. I know his investigative staff very well. They're very competent. They've been working very hard behind the scenes. They're going to have some big revelations that are not yet public that will move this narrative along and show just how far-reaching the corruption inside the bureaucracy was. As for the issue of President Obama, there's going to come a moment after that first evidence is laid out in his hearings where people are going to obviously say, hey, this started at the top with President Obama. And then I think Lindsey Graham will have to face the music of his own evidence and decide what he's going to do. And I think that moment may, when the evidence is all out there, there'll be an even more poignant question to the chairman. Why aren't you talking to President Obama? And I think, let's see what the evidence comes out. But keep in mind, over the last few months, there's been a lot of information taken from the National Archives, from the Obama administration. They lay out a very powerful case. We're going to begin to see that evidence over the next 3-4 weeks. And all I can say from what I know from my reporting is buckle your seatbelt.
Well, seat belts are buckled. I've been in anticipation for so many years now, along with most of the country, that what is in prospect is not quite as bright and vivid as it once was. But I take your counsel, John, and we will remain anticipatory in posture. John, thanks so much. John Solomon, Just the News. Appreciate it.
Okay, and that's where I got to kill the music, but he's going to go through a few of the Q posts here. And let's get to the ending part of this. In a second, it's going to take a while for it all to come through. Here we go. We should be coming up on the end of it about now. There we go. And
given my age demographic, I'd be happy to come after I've been vaccinated for COVID-19.
Would you testify
Otherwise,
remotely?
I could do it remotely, as the case with the Fauci hearing, or respond to questions or that sort of thing. But I don't particularly want to put my life or that of my wife in jeopardy for in-person testimony.
What is your response to those? And you've seen the headlines today, and you've seen some of the coverage who are saying this is proof of a political witch hunt.
Well, I don't think it's any such thing. Again, this program which has long existed, and is the way it operates, is designed to minimize the identity of U.S. persons who may be engaged in innocent activities. And it's a very valuable tool to know about what is going on in these engagements with valid foreign intelligence targets. And I can't stress that enough. And that's the predicate for the operation of the program. And it's a very important capability for protecting the national security of the country.
Why do you think the president and some Republican senators are raising it in this fashion then?
Well, I think this is part of the narrative to create the impression that there was something untoward or improper or illegitimate going on here, and there was not. And as General Nakasoni's explanatory note, emphasizes that this was a legitimate process, and the people that got these reports were authorized recipients and were authorized to request unmasking, and that those procedures were followed.
Just to read that, each individual was an authorized recipient of the original report, and the unmasking was approved through NSA standard process, which includes a review of the justification for the request. General James Clapper, thank you for walking us through this and helping us understand the reality.
Yeah, General James Clapper is a traitor. Traitor, traitor to this nation. 100%. All right. Hey, Mike Gill, repost some of my music while you're posting my link tree. Dude, I would love to play your music on here. But I don't know if I'll get a copyright. So I'll have to try and find a way to send you a message to find out if I can, because I would love to play some of your music for people. Matter of fact, here, let me drop this link. If anybody wants to listen to this stuff that Script Keeper puts together, music-wise, like you said, he's a rapper. Very clean, very, very clean. Okay. And everything that he does is in respect of his country or about issues going on today, like child trafficking, like drug trafficking, like the situations that we see coming up every single day. So there's a link for it there. If I can get somebody to drop that over on the Facebook side, that would be awesome. All right. Here's a future anon for you. Yep. This is this girl right here. I want you to listen to what she says, that this is a future anon right here. If not an anon already. Here you go.
Aiden.
There's a zipper on
I'm going to play that one more time.
Aiden.
That's not the Easter Bunny. That's a future anon for you right there. Research and tell everybody. Yep. All right. Yeah, gotta love it. Not a number, says Australian Senator Ralph Babbitt. The people that you elect to run your country are puppets. Let's take a listen. Here we go.
I'm going to tell everyone at home that's watching this right now, and I'm sitting in my nation's capital now, and I'm telling you from my experience, the people that you elect to run your country are puppets. They are not the true wielders of power. Donald Trump likes to call this the deep state. And I'm going to tell you now that the deep state is alive and well in Australia, and it is alive and well in the UK. Of course, it's alive and well in the United States. We're all seeing that play out right now. So do everything you can, everyone that's watching this broadcast, everyone that's hearing my voice, you must be more involved in the political process. You must take action. You need to be active, because if you're not active, the people behind the scenes that sit in the shadows, and they are there, that control the levers of power, that control, I believe it's Rishi Sunak who's in charge.
Rishi Sunak, yes, he was put in place, no doubt, by the deep state, because we didn't vote for him to be prime minister.
Well, exactly. The people behind the scenes that pull those strings, they don't have your best interests at heart. And I choose my words very carefully here. They don't have your best interests at heart. These authoritarian tyrants want nothing but to see you be a serf, be a slave, be a peasant, while they sit at the top of the pinnacle of power. And they use their agents in the parliament to bring that to pass. So do not be complacent. Get active, join a party, run for parliament, make your voice heard, because the West, all of the West, is looking down a barrel right now.
You gotta love it when these guys are coming out and telling the truth like this. You can't argue with it, right? All right. Breaking. Former People's Deputy of Ukraine, Andriy Durchak, I think it is. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Says they have proof that the Biden family member affiliates, both Burisma founders and employees, are complicit in the blowing up of the Nord Stream 2 and other terrorist activities by way of at least $50 million collective bribe. Wow. All right, I'm going to play this. It's you're going to have to read the captions, guys. Let me make sure, let me get rid of my banner so that it's not in the way, and get rid of the other banner as well. Whoops, get rid of the X banner. Here we go. All right, because I want you guys to be able to read this.
Почему мы уделяем внимание финансированию? Потому что финансирование терроризма – это одна из таких. Почему мы уделяем внимание?
I'm going to go slow so that we have time to get it. Well, actually, I'll let me get my glasses on. I'll read it for you. It will have certain consequences, including for those who sponsor terrorism. Why do we draw attention to financing? Because terrorism financing is kind of a non-public, hidden form of participation in terrorist
Финансирование
activity.
терроризма – это одна из таких непубличных, скрытых форм участия в террористической деятельности.
And all those who sponsor terrorism must realize that they will be held accountable
Все,
for
кто
their crimes.
занимается спонсорством терроризма, должны понимать, что они так или иначе понесут ответственность за свои преступления, за свою
For their activities, for their participation in
деятельность,
terrorist
за
activities.
участие в террористической деятельности. Что еще важно?
What else is important? The statement contains full information data about the participation of
Вот там
Burisma
полностью
company.
собрана информация и данные об участии компании Буризма, ее
its founders, employees, and the financing of
учредителей,
terrorist
сотрудников,
activities.
финансирование террористической деятельности. Для нас
It is
абсолютно понятно,
absolutely clear to us that the Biden family,
что семья Байдена, партнеры семьи
partners
Байдена,
of the Biden family, are participants proven participants in the financing of terrorist activity.
Это участники, доказанные участники финансирования террористической деятельности. Сейчас
Now, the job of the investigation body or investigative bodies is to describe, prove,
задача
and press
следственных
charges
органов процессуальным путем, путем следственных действий описать,
by
доказать и
following the
предъявить
procedure by
обвинения.
means of investigative actions. But if I have to put it in a very simple terms to make it
Очень вот
understandable,
по-простому, чтобы было очень понятно. Компания
Burisma
Burisma
Company and the Biden
связана с
family
Линдси
associated
Грaham.
with it,
Каким образом?
how did they do it? How were they involved in the financing of terrorism? Any examples?
Они это делали? Вот именно участвуют в финансировании терроризма. Вот на каких-то примерах.
Мы
We have traced virtually all the transactions
отследили
of
практически
funds
все движения средств по
through Burisma Company and the transfer of funds through Morgan Stanley to Rosemont Seneca Company. How many times have we talked about Rosemont Seneca?
компании Буризма и переходы средств через Морган Стэнли на компанию Розамонт Сенека. Это компания,
This is a company that is affiliated and owned by Biden's son. He received money from
которая
it.
аффилирована и принадлежит сыну Байдена, где он получал деньги. Мы показали все
We have shown all the transactions. All these transactions are in the possession of Congress. Wow. All of these transactions are in the possession of Congress, but Congress hasn't done anything
проводки, и
about
все
it.
проводки есть в распоряжении Конгресса и Конгресса Соединенных Штатов.
And the
На самом
United States Congress is actually using those documents to prove influence peddling.
деле
We're not
используют эти
proving
документы
anything
для
right now.
доказательства торговли влиянием. Но
But the criminal case that was initiated with regard to
уголовное
Burisma
дело,
Company
которое было возбуждено по буризме при
or was being investigated actively under Prosecutor General Shokin was not closed until practically
или расследовалось
2020.
активно при генеральном прокуроре Шокине, то есть оно не было закрыто практически до 2020 года. И вот
And in a certain period of time, the amount of the bribe was $50 million.
определенный промежуток времени. Сумма взятки была 50 миллионов на самом деле. У нас есть
We have it documented in reports of the prosecutors who were tracking this
документы
process.
в рапортах прокуроров, которые отслеживали этот процесс. Но 6 миллионов
But $6 million in cash was handed over to law enforcement officials of
кэш, то
Ukraine.
есть наличных денег, были переданы правоохранителям Украины для закрытия дела
Kept on the
Буризма.
investigation.
Это было все задокументировано,
It was all documented. The person who was handing over these funds did it on camera.
под камерой взяли того, кто передавал эти средства. Это был один из
It was one of Burisma's employees, some lawyer.
сотрудников компании Буризма, Кича, некто адвокат. Вся
All of Europe was looking at the biggest bribe of $6 million in
Европа
cash.
смотрела на самую большую взятку в кэш $6 миллионов. Эти
That $6 million was seized and remained evidence until a certain
6
period of
миллионов
time.
долларов были изъяты и являлись вещдоком до определенного промежутка времени.
By a secret court order that we've attached.
Закрытым решением суда, секретным решением суда, которое мы предоставили, эти деньги
That money was handed over to a military unit of the Central Intelligence Office.
были переданы в распоряжение воинской части ГУР для
For the sake of carrying out terrorist activity.
проведения террористической деятельности. После этого начали
After that, the Nord Streams began to explode. After that, Prilipin was attacked.
взрываться там северные потоки, после этого был Прилепин, теракт.
A terrorist attack was committed against Duggan's daughter. A series of terrorist attacks was unleashed.
Дугина пошла серия терактов. Руководители
Top officers of security agencies of Ukraine. I mean, Malyuk, Budanov.
спецслужб Украины, что Малюк, что Буданов, они же не
They do not hide, if you look at the interview, that they conduct activities using extra budgetary cash.
скрывают, если вы откроете интервью, что они проводят мероприятия за внебюджетный кэш. Поэтому
Therefore, the whole chain is traced, and there is no doubt
как
about it.
бы тут прослежена вся цепочка, и сомнений в этом никаких нет. Семья
The Biden family, or rather partners of the Biden family, have sponsored terrorism.
Байдена, вернее, партнеры семьи Байдена спонсировали терроризм, уходя от ответственности.
and have avoided responsibility for corruption and money
ответственности за
laundering.
коррупцию, отмывание денег на территории Украины.
То есть,
I mean, look, it turns out that Burisma Company, which is already the notorious company Burisma,
смотрите, получается, что Бурисма, ну, уже знаменитая Бурисма, чтобы
paid a bribe in order to, let's say, well, to close this case.
снять, скажем так, в общем, закрыть вот это дело, заплатила взятку.
Well, it wasn't just 6 million. In total, it was about 18 million. Okay. I'm not going to keep going on this. I'm not a good translator. I'm just not. Sorry. But you guys get the idea of it. It's all coming out. All right. Still trying to figure out who this is? Yep.
Are you still trying to figure out who that really is? Even after my first video where I make a pretty convincing case that this is no coincidence. But if you're still not convinced, hang on to your seats because I got some new information and it all stems from this beautiful statue constructed in 1848. You see, that statue is actually a statue of Lucifer, and it's called the Genius of Evil. And when you look closely, there are some pretty unmistakable similarities between this statue and a certain statue in the NYC. Let's start by examining this chain attached to Lucifer's ankle. Could that be a symbol of being imprisoned in the bottomless pit for 1,000 years? And you probably have never noticed, but I sure did. A very similar chain attached to that Statue of Liberty. And when you look at the faces of those two seemingly unrelated statues, they sure bear an awful similar resemblance. And did you happen to notice what Lucifer was holding in his hand in that statue? A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 point crown? Well, have you ever noticed how many points are in the Statue of Liberty's crown? And did you happen to notice what type of fruit was hanging out in the bottom of that statue as well? And well, I really don't have to go here, do I? And although small, and at the very bottom of the statue, did you notice this torch laying on the ground? That torch that just also happens to bear a very similar resemblance? That torch that Lucifer, the light bearer, is often depicted with right in plain sight. So much in plain sight that you probably look right past it and might even unknowingly be rooting for it. But nah, it's all just a coincidence. They just happen to look alike and have the same pointed crown and the same torch and the same association with an apple and the same chain. Just a big coincidence. Just the way this is all a coincidence too. No one really worships any fallen angels and pays tribute to them through characters that a lot of people look up to. Just like the Vatican would never actually call their telescope Lucifer. It's just all jokes. It's all for fun. It's all entertainment. But stay tuned for some more information on that. But like I said, this was all for shits and gigs, for your entertainment, because that's all I am. Satire and entertainment purposes only.
I like how he does his stuff. Does a pretty good job. All right, raw alerts. Here we go. Breaking. Red Lobster, the largest U.S. seafood restaurant chain known for its seafood and famous cheesy biscuits, are getting ready to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy as early as next week after suddenly closing dozens of restaurants. Yep, it's happening. All right, here we go. Robbie Starbuck, an elementary school principal in Ocala, Florida, was arrested Saturday for abuse of a child after choking a little boy, hitting him with a cable, and slapping him. This went on for 40 minutes. Let's take a listen.
A student slapped in the face, pinned to the ground, put in a chokehold, and more. All of it, though, caught on camera.
So, I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a security camera in that room. There is. Yeah, and it caught everything on camera.
So tonight, this guy, Dante Profit, a principal at a local school, is facing an aggravated child abuse charge. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Ginger Gadsden. Investigators say that video you just saw went on for more than 40 minutes. Investigators say it happened at Destiny Leadership Academy. It's on U.S. Highway 441. That's in Marion County. News 6's Troy Campbell is there tonight.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office says their deputy watched a more than 40-minute-long surveillance video from inside of this school showing one of their principals assaulting a child.
Turn around for me. James, bring back. You're under arrest, okay? For aggravated child abuse.
33-year-old Dante Profit arrested early Saturday morning while wearing a shirt from the Destiny Learning Academy in Ocala.
I don't know if you know this or not, but there's a security camera in that room. There is. Yeah, and it caught everything on camera.
Investigators say video from inside the classroom shows Profit, a principal at the school, striking the child several times, placing him in a chokehold, and when the child attempted to hide under a table, he twisted his ankle.
His head was just down, and you approached him. So why'd you do that?
Okay. At the time when I'm hoping I'm not hurting him, I'm trying to get his attention because he said he was going to hurt him.
But you're touching him.
Have investigators kind of expressed how enraged they are by the actions of the defendant in this case?
By knowing that we send our children to school to people that are supposed to teach them and protect them and help them flourish as children into adults.
This isn't the first time Profit has been accused of assaulting a child, but the sheriff's office says it's unclear if the school was aware.
It's up to the schools that he applies to make sure that they look at his criminal history and know that this is not someone you want to be working around students.
So we just did a quick Google search of his name, Dante Profit. Right away, it came up a Click Orlando article from 2019. In it, it details the allegations where a boy accused him of sexual assault. Court documents also show that prosecutors ultimately dropped the charges in that case. People in the community say the allegations are frightening.
We were considering going to the school, and so we're kind of like scared, what if it would have been him? It would have been scary to know that, just to have that thought in the back of the head,
In Ocala, Troy Campbell, Getting Results, News 6.
Yep. Time to get these people out of the schools. Yep. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, I have a bill to shut down Jack Smith's political prosecution of President Trump. Let's listen to what she's got to say.
Mike Johnson is the Speaker of the House. He's the only one that has the ultimate control to do something to stop it, and he's absolutely done nothing to stop it. And he told Playbook last week that no, he wasn't going to do anything. And then he called me up on the phone today and said that he's continuing to try to figure out a way to stop Jack Smith. It's really simple, Steve. I have a bill. I have a bill that will completely defund the special counsel. If only we had a Speaker of the House that had the guts to take it to the floor for a vote. What he's concerned about is Republicans not voting for it. You know what I have to say, Steve? I'd love to see those Republicans vote against it. I would love to see these Republicans who are actually in their primaries right now, who are actually in their general elections right now. I would love to see them vote against the corrupt special prosecutor, Jack Smith, and the FBI, who completely manipulated evidence. It wasn't a might. They absolutely did. I would love to see these Republicans vote against that, because getting rid of the special counsel and Jack Smith is absolutely the right thing to do. That's how you stop the weaponized government. You don't run up to New York and sit there and hug President Trump as tightly as you can and feign like, all of this outrage over Alvin Bragg. That's a state case. This is a federal case. Jack Smith is federal. We are federal. Mike Johnson is Speaker of the House, which is federal. That's something that we can do something about. The Department of Justice that is weaponized against President Trump.
Yep. Well, let's see if it goes anywhere. You never know. All right. Gavin Newsom can't explain where the $24 million for the homeless went. Oh, boy, here we go.
Gavin Newsom's been promising to end homelessness for as long as he's been in politics, and he's a lifelong politician. As mayor of San Francisco, he's rolled out a Stalin-esque 10-year plan to get each resident a roof.
Housing solves homelessness. And if we're going to solve the problem of those that are out on the streets that we define as homeless, we better solve the housing problem if we're going to have an impact. And that's why we established this framework, what we call a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness in San Francisco.
Bush was president when he said that. Bush. Gavin's been governor for 5 years. He spent $24 billion on the homeless, added 30,000 homeless, and can't tell us where the money went. Finally, he was confronted. Watch.
Is your administration doing enough to determine whether the money that's being plowed into homelessness is being well spent?
One of the vexing issues that was highlighted in the audit was local, and each city and county has different strategies and approaches. We've tried to level set that.
I'm sorry, Governor, I didn't hear responses to either of those questions. Do you acknowledge whether the money that the state isn't doing enough to ensure that the money is being well spent?
The audit did not surprise me. The state has advanced unprecedented investments, you're correct, and unprecedented interventions demanding more accountability with state money at the local level.
Where'd the $24 billion go? Don't look at me. I'm just the governor, but I knew we were going to lose it. That was his answer. But don't worry, they have a new plan. San Francisco is going to give the homeless shots of vodka. Here's the goal. Keep alcoholics drunk, but not too drunk. The city's running a managed alcohol program for homeless addicts for $5 million a year. Basically a speakeasy that they're running out of an old hotel in the Tenderloin, where it's happy hour all day. These guys get 3 hots and a cot. Nurses come around like cocktail waitresses with beer, wine, or liquor to, quote, meet their addiction needs, but keeping someone at a safe level of intoxication. The program has room for 20 addicts, and it wouldn't be a taxpayer slush fund without a little DEI. Half of the beds are strictly for, quote, the Latinx and indigenous population. Nationally syndicated radio host Dana Lash joins me now. Dana, how come we didn't think of this? You just give the homeless vodka.
Yeah, not just vodka. I mean, it's like a full-on bar. I don't know if it's like top shelf or not, but apparently they have wine to choose from. They have a certain amount of brews. You also get some vodka. I don't know what other spirits are being offered, and it's limited to like 2 or whatever a day. And I mean, this is all taxpayer funded. Now, case in point, remember, Jesse, Gavin Newsom has been bragging that California is the model for the nation for Democrats. On his watch, they went from $100 billion surplus because they were taking in over $50 million something in taxes for 1 year. Now they're running something like a $46 billion deficit, half of which, according to this legislative analyst audit, was spent on these homeless programs that they didn't even bother tracking. This, Jesse, is the only one that they actually tracked, probably because it has to do with their favorite meal, Democrats in California, liquor. So this is insane. That's the model for the nation. Yeah. So everybody needs to pay attention to that because that's your option in November.
I wonder if the Pelosi Vineyard has the contract for the Hair of the Dog San Francisco Alcoholics program.
Right. I would wonder if she's down there serving, but she's probably partaking secretly, maybe perhaps in the back. But that's what you get. There's no accountability, as you said.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. Let's make a bad situation worse. Disgusting. Pro-Hamas students at UC Davis encampment physically stopped a professor from moving around the campus grounds.
I talked about some in the book, but in 1991, there were 3 things that happened.
I'm a professor here in Emeritus and tenured and faculty, so...
I talked about some in the book, but in 1991, there were 3 things that happened.
Because I'm a professor here in Emeritus and tenured and faculty, so...
Yeah. You should be able to call security and have these people removed. It's time. Time to bring it to an end. All right. Smells like panic.
Ban social networks to talk about buying short stocks.
Bro, these people must have lost their mind. They're talking about banning social media platforms where individual investors gather together to talk about the short squeeze stocks.
All kinds of assets to make good their GameStop losses. In other words, I'm saying this is spilling over into the rest of the market. What are you seeing?
You know, Stuart, I would agree with you because it's unsettling. It can't be seen as something that's going to make you feel confident about the market when these types of moves can happen, number one. Number two, it's taught us that some of these funds that short these things, that's a dangerous game, and maybe they got a little bit too egotistical and got out over their skis. But the last thing is that these retail traders, who all the rules are written for protection purposes, have now commoditized themselves into a group that have taken these stocks so high that there's no way that somebody cannot get hurt, right? So it's like saying, I know there's going to be a car crash, and that's horrible to say, but there's no way around it. You rightfully said earlier on your show, when they want to go to sell, there's nobody that they're going to be able to sell to, and that's going to be the problem. So I think it's unsettling. I don't think it lends confidence to the market, and I do think it ultimately would be it puts everybody on shaky ground.
Who is left holding the bag? Back in 1999, with the crash of the dot-coms, it was the little guy who was left holding a stock that they bought at 100 and was now worth $2. Same thing going to happen this time around, you think?
Absolutely. I mean, who's going to want to get in? I mean, there aren't going to be, as these things rally, there might be some orders left in underneath the market to buy at a certain price. There'll be a few of those. But when they all come to get out of that movie theater because somebody yelled fire, that door is only so big. So if you've got to be one of the first 2 or 3 people out, or you're going to get taken to the woodshed. And that's the problem. There will be carnage, I can guarantee you. And it's not going to be the big guys because they've gotten their fingers burnt and they've gone home. So now you're right. It's a casino. It's the retail investor that's been commoditized into a big pool. Now they're powerful, but on an individual basis, there's going to be some carnage for sure.
Should the SEC, the authorities, should they step in? And if so, what can they do?
I got a great idea. Ban social networks to talk about buying short stocks. Right, that's their next move, right? They do it for conservatives. That's how ridiculous it is. Now, there is a new class of investor now with these retail guys and gals that are now banding together. They're going to have to relook at how things are because all of the rules, Stuart, I have the licenses to prove it, are written to protect grandma and the little guy, right? And now grandma and the little guy have all banded together into a big group, and they've done this to the stocks. They're going to have to take a look at these rules to make sure that there isn't anybody. There will be somebody left holding the bag this time. They're going to have to relook at that and how they can make sure this doesn't happen to this extreme again.
But let me tell you what is the craziest part. The craziest part is that they want to protect the stock market by limiting individual investors. They don't want to limit the Wall Street, the hedge funds. Every time when they refer to the rules and to the regulations, they're referring to the individual investors. It almost feels like that the whole rules and regulations have been written only for individual investors. And then when you hear that some of the Wall Street hedge funds broke the rules, right? No one goes after them. That's the question. I asked him like a couple of times. I already asked him about this, and no one has the answer for it. Okay, so if individual investors broke the rules and regulations, it's a big thing. But when something happens on Wall Street, you're not gonna find any investigation around insider trading. You're not gonna find any investigation around potential fraud and manipulation, right? That's the biggest thing over here. It almost feels like remove individual investors, remove their rights, remove their options, remove their margin accounts, remove the liquidity from the stock market, block the social media apps, block the social media groups, everything, remove it, block it, leave these people outside.
Yeah. So this guy wants to take away your right to be involved in your financial future. Yeah. No. Kiss my ass. All right. Middle school in California is teaching students sex ed. The principal sent an email to parents that they can opt out of any individual lesson except for the chapter on gender and sexuality. They're forcing kids to learn about gender, pseudoscience, and alternate genders. Yeah, sick fucks. Sick. Yep. All right. Shipwreck. Anthony Blinken plays guitar during war in Ukraine, while whistleblower journalists in Ukraine accuse the government of sending war aid money to shell businesses because the entire thing is money laundering. Yeah, here we go. Shipwreck, do your thing.
This week, our brave Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, got on a plane and went over to the war zone that is Ukraine. He went with a message. You are not alone. America stands with you. Then he picked up his trusty, rusty, dusty guitar and he played them a tune. Let me tell you something. If you think you hate these people now, you don't. You don't hate them enough. You do not hate them enough. I thought there was a war going on. Blinken was over there in Ukraine, and he's promising all of our tax dollars to Ukraine to help them fight the war against Russia. A report came out of Ukraine. It's like Ukrainians against corruption or whatever, talking about how the money that was set aside for northern Ukraine to help build their infrastructure went to fictitious companies. The report states that millions of dollars that were intended for the construction of fortifications in Ukraine were instead transferred to front companies of avatars. Because of that, Russia was able to just walk on over and take over that whole area. This all happened while Anthony Blinken was there, meeting with students from the Mariupol State University. Look at the war. Meeting with the prime minister. Look at all that war. Getting lunch. I don't even know what this is. Do you think they talked about this? Probably not. You think that you've hated your government officials enough? You haven't. You haven't. You haven't. And you know what? This douche can just right at the top of my list. I think he was blackmailed. I do. I think they're threatening his family.
She called him a douche canoe. A douche canoe.
Threatening his family. I do, because he just flipped switch. What if that was the case? Then tweet it out. Send it out. Tell somebody. Tell the people. Hey, they're threatening my family if I don't do this. Expose it all. Put it all out there. What are you doing? Mike Johnson promised us that they would not send any foreign aid to any other country until our country was secure, until our inflation was under control. And then he just did. The Vatican's coming out next week with documentation and guidelines on how to disconcern apparitions that are going to be coming up in the next however many years. Basically warning people about Project Blue Beam. You can do it. Just let it happen. Just let it happen. I don't know what else to do. There's nothing else to do. What else are you going to do? You can replace Mike Johnson, but then you're just going to get some other numbfuck in there who's going to do the exact same damn thing. Anthony Blinken is just infuriating. They all need to go. All of them. All of them. Holy balls.
Bring on the alien invasion! You douche canoe! Oh, Script Keeper says people keep tagging me in this and that. I feel like I feel like I'm on an episode of The Sopranos that got deleted. Uh-oh. Let's take a listen.
Hold the fuck up, Sparky. Mike, you too angry, bro. You fucking, like, people used to tell me I had, like, anger issues. And it's like, oh, Script, yo, man, you jumped down everybody's throat. Nobody was even coming at you like that. You actually made this whole scenario right now for jumping out the window the way you just did. I'm just letting you know. I told you I was sitting back observing for the next few days because I have to move. I'm moving my family to fucking Florida. And I'm still coming on here to say, hey, relax, calm down. I get it. Yeah, we got questions. I had people in my inbox. Why is Mike Gill saying that fucking Trump took a deal and he sold us out? You're the one that posted the shit. You went on Jocko's shit. You went over here. I put the receipts up. Don't get fucking angry. The receipts are there, bro. And if you want to know who I am, go research. Everybody knows who the fuck I am. I'm the little guy that they don't see coming. Serious. Hold the fuck up, Smart.
Oh, I'm telling you, you get him in on the mix and you got nothing but trouble. You get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. All right. All right. We already covered the UN thing there. Slow Country. Oh, yeah. Slow Country put this out. He tagged both me and Dave in this. My theory of the number of days of the year, Q, and the news events. Starting off, I wondered if 11.3 to 11.4 and 11.6 will correspond with news on the numbered day, i.e., 11.3 would be the 113th day of the year, and etc. For example, I used the 11.3, translated it for 113th day, and then looked up the corresponding calendar day, and it was April 22nd. Q posts 1236, 1237, 1239. Post 1237, process of settlement is a civilization jihadist process with all the word means. The Ikhwan Muslim Brotherhood must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers. This goes pretty in depth too, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I will, however, drop a link to this for those of you who want to follow up on it and go through it all. I'm trying to watch our time right now because, as I stated to you guys yesterday, the price of gas has gone up here, and I have to be very careful about how much I'm using each day in order to do this, and I still have to get my freezer plugged in for the day to make sure that everything stays frozen, or I lose all my food. All right, Met Gala predicted its own downfall with the theme. Now she's going to talk about something here that a lot of people overlooked. And take a listen to this, guys.
Symbolism will be their downfall. That's the saying, right? Well, let's look at the symbolism for the Met Gala 2024. And I'm not talking about the Holly weirdos or what they were wearing. I'm not going to give them the time of day. But what I am going to talk about is the theme for the 2024 Met Gala, which was the Garden of Time. Now, everyone's saying, oh, it just means like the garden flowers and, you know, environment and how we should look after it and the cyclical nature and stuff. However, I found a book called The Garden of Time by J.G. Ballard. Let me just show you the book. So this is the cover of the book, but it's also available free online, and it's only about 6 pages. But let me quickly summarize it for you. So the story goes that this count and countess own a beautiful house on top of a hill, and they have a beautiful garden with a lake, and it's surrounded by walls to keep the, you know, poor people out that work their lands. And they have a special garden that grows glass flowers or roses. And each time they pick that flower, it actually stops time or reverses time. And so once the working class was disgruntled, they realized that they were going to go and take their power back by invading their fortress. And so in the distance, these rich two count and countesses or whatever see the workers coming closer and closer to their fortress. And they start picking these flowers to stop the workers because it stops time and also reverses time. However, the problem is that they were running out of these magical glass time traveling flowers. And so they saw that the workers were getting closer and closer to their I guess, castle. So the fact that Met Gala made that their theme and then got the backlash that they did this year. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Gen Z is going absolutely feral on Hollywood, and I'm so proud of you guys, honestly. Like, you guys are turning out to be a pretty badass generation. They're blocking movie stars to the point where they're losing 3-5 million followers in one day, costing them so much money. And there's actually movie stars crying about it. And now people are still saying that everyone should go and block them because they're losing sponsorships that way. So I'm wondering if these delete parasites are finally realizing that maybe, just maybe, they should calm down with the whole pushing everything in our face with how much money they have and how affluent they are, considering we're over here, like, you know, with inflation, and the largest welfare transfer from middle class to like the super rich happened in the last 4 years, and it is still going on with all the money laundering our governments are doing. And then on top of that, they're taxing us to death here in Canada with like carbon taxes, and they're so out of touch with reality. But I think Met Gala nailed it this year because they pretty much predicted their own downfall. But what do you guys think?
All right, that's Truth Seeker 01011, and yeah, I'm gonna check into that little book, you know, and go from there. So, do I want to go farther into this? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go into this more. Script Cooper says you are a pussy for blocking the woman who stood up for me, Mike Gill. Your narrative is crumbling. One, if you've been doing this for 17 years and you are a real threat, you would have been Clintonized. Yep, Seth Rich style. And if you had the cartel that close, you would have been dead. Cartel don't care about the feds or us. My family, or my friends and family, see how you are trying to talk shit on me. I think you're a balloon of hot air. If the feds stopped it, that means you are in WITSEC. 5K1 letters and 135 fed shit. I'm not a Flynn bro. I've been calling him out way before you did and Derek did. I got my next song now, and I can make a pit stop on my way down to Florida. So Tracy said, yep, that's it. He's moving to Florida to be closer to Flynn. Really, this sounds so desperate. Trump lives in Florida. Why does he have to be him moving to get close to Flynn? Him and his family can't deal with New York politics. Yeah. Mike Gill, how much are you making a spring sale? Oh, wow. I have a link tree. If you lost as many accounts and did music like I do, you would have one too. It's how people find me. Your YouTube is still up from years ago. I'm on my third. No censorship. You? Script wants you to buy him a coffee, meaning this guy will take change like Flynn. Moving to Florida near Flynn. You want to go to war? Let's bring it. If war bring peace, I'm with it. And then Mike Gill blocked him. Yeah. Yep. And there's more to this too, and I'll play it for you so that you guys will totally get this. Let's see. Maria Bartiroma goes off on spineless and silent GOP. I think I covered that one earlier. That's the Ashley Biden diary. We covered that stuff yesterday. Really? We've gone through everything? Holy crap. Wow. We went through a lot of stuff. Wow. We covered a lot in 3 hours. I did want to make a comment in regards to Nick Alvear said something about Flynn not ever being mentioned on in the drops. Well, that's not true because post 4868 has digital soldiers must fight on battlefields not of our choosing, so on and so forth, and that's General Flynn who's posting that himself. Okay, and then in 4854. Flynn is also mentioned here. Let's see, media words, keywords, Flynn, Catherine Herridge, memorandum, Michael Flynn, Michael Cohen, so on and so forth. Okay. Then we got 4620, Flynn, sequence of events, Flynn, first strike designed to 1, cripple 2, and so on and so forth. And then 4610, Flynn, General Flynn, a real American hero, cartoon meme graphic. Yeah. Okay. And then down here, we can go farther, 4310 and 4256. Flynn, DOJ dismissed week 1. And then here we go. That's in regards to meeting Obama, Corney, setup of General Flynn. Incoming NSA Flynn is speaking frequently with the Russian ambassador. Flynn, it's past sensitive information related to Russia to Flynn. Okay. So don't say that, Nick, I love your work. Okay. But don't say that the boards have never discussed Flynn because it is right here in multiple posts. Okay. Multiple posts. Flynn. Boom week ahead. Yep. Flynn. Maybe you should have talked to Script Keeper before you made your comment this morning, okay, about Flynn not being mentioned on the boards, because Flynn has been mentioned on the boards. However, nobody ever said to trust Flynn. We were told to trust Ray and to trust Sessions. Those two we were told to trust. Okay. One is exposing from the inside. The other is working on the outside for what will come next. Okay. So, It's just, it's understand, you know, uh, you know, a lot of different things. Okay. Now, Nick Alviar has been having a down and out with Dave. Okay. Our Dave. Okay. And this is just posted 39 minutes ago. She Shed Truther, Michelle Moore, is going to have to come forward and realize she provided a platform for Gil the Shill. The guy who was going to make a movie about Mike Gill, who was arguing with Dave. Okay, be easy on Michelle. She didn't realize Mike Gill was a nut job. She'll come around to her sense. I believed in Gill and even turned a blind eye to some trying to warn me. Okay, I give props. Okay, look at what he just did. Okay, he tried to stand up for Gill. Okay, and then he began to see something else, and he came forward and he said, basically what he said, I believed in Gill and even turned a blind eye to some trying to warn me. Okay. But he exposed himself clearly. I wonder when he'll start claiming Michelle is a Flynn Network girl. It's his go-to with a liberal calling Republicans racist or Nazi. Okay. Thank you, Nick Alviar. Much respect for that. Much respect. Okay. I appreciate the fact that you did this. Okay. Absolutely. All right, Libs of TikTok. Meet Kevin Weeks, a teacher at Battleground PS in Oregon. He was just arrested for first-degree online sexual corruption of a minor. If you don't think there is an epidemic of sexual predators in our school system, think again. Okay, and I've said to you guys many times, as being a victim, okay, all those years ago, you only have two choices as to what happens as you age. You either, one, become a predator yourself, or two, you become a warrior fighting for the exposure of this crime, okay, and those who commit it. Those are the only two options. There is absolutely no in between. Absolutely no in between. Okay. And this is the thing is that, when we see situations like that, it is up to us. We, the people, must continue monitoring who is around our children. Okay. Who we expose them to. Okay. It is our job to protect them at all cost, even our lives. This cannot be something that is taken with a small grain of salt. Okay. This is something that needs to be taken the size of a fucking watermelon and bashed upside somebody's head. It is that simple. Protect your children, your grandchildren. Okay. That is our responsibilities, our responsibility as a human being. Even if the children are not our own, okay, even if it is not children of our own, our responsibilities as good humans is to protect the innocent above all else. Yeah, I love that douche canoe. That's like, that's going to be one of my words now.
Hey, just be honest with the cops, man. All right, Kevin. Because they'll know everything about Jessica, all right? I know. So why were you here? How old was she? What'd you guys talk about? Hey, how many kids have you molested, Kevin? None. What about the 15-year-old you talked about? Were you just saying that to the kid so you like made it normal to the 14-year-old that sex is cool with little kids? You were just talking about that? So how many you look at your students, you say? Just be honest with them, all right, Kevin? They'll get you some help, man. Hey, just be honest.
And this is the type of exposure that needs to happen so that it goes right out there into the communities so that douche canoes like this cannot prey upon your children. Oh boy, I get to use that word quite often now. It's all right. Let's see. Compare this to what Gill said during the live stream. Brian Gamble, Mike Gill, Pandora Papers, Racine. Sun Tzu held an exit space with his brother and Brian Gamble. I think it was FEB. Brian Gamble explained how back when the election was stolen at an event where Mike Flynn was present, Mike Gill stated he approached Mike Flynn with documents to give to Sidney Powell or President Trump or someone. Mike Gill allegedly told Brian Gamble that at first he gave them directly to Mike Flynn, but when pressed about it, it turns out he gave the documents to Mike Flynn's assistant. Flynn's assistant looked through the information and were working back and forth with Mike Gill, but they realized it wasn't anything they would be able to use, that it didn't have anything to do with the case they were building. Mike Gill considered that as an operation against him and that Mike Flynn was purposely keeping the documents from President Trump. See the clip. It sounds like Brian Gamble might have reached out to Michelle Moore. Mike Gill was not interested in having a conversation with Brian Gamble. Brian states Mike Gill started ranting about Racine. Brian noted that he would introduce Gill to a journalist involved with the Pandora Papers. And let's take a listen.
And Mike Gill approaches him at some event with, I guess he had like 17 or 18 pages affidavits to give the general to give to Sidney or President Trump or whatever he was saying. I wasn't there. All I know is from Mike Gill's own mouth is he gave those to General Flynn, and when he was pressed about it, well, he gave it to the team. So I mean, there are a few people in here that I know who the person was that they gave those papers to. It was General Flynn's assistant. I'm not going to say his name. Likely received those papers. His stuff, along with everybody else's, got put through the same queue as everything else. The people that were looking through this information were working back and forth with Mike Gill and pretty much realized that this was not something that they were going to be able to use in what they were building. They didn't say it wasn't anything. They just said this has nothing to do with the case that we're building, right? End of discussion. Well, Mike Gill considers that like General Flynn somehow kept those papers from President Trump. And like that is some sort of operation against Mike Gill. And he's like this epicenter of Pandora Papers. So I do a little digging, right? I don't know many people that understand the true Pandora Papers, but the true Pandora Papers is actually managed by a consortium of journalists internationally. It's the ICIJ, like the International Conservative, the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. These are the people that determine the Pandora Papers. What are in the papers? And to their recollection, nothing Mike Gill has is actually a part of the ICIJ. So I'm listening to this Mike Gill guy talk about General Flynn is, coming after me, and General Flynn is keeping information from President Trump, and he's part of the Pandora Papers. And I'm thinking like, oh God, here we go, another lunatic, right? So I reach out to a few people, and I ended up reaching out to, I guess, the only person he trusts. It's a female. And she's like, yeah, I know. Well, let me try to because I offered to sit down with Mike Gill on phone or in person and say, listen, I think you've got some things misunderstood here, bro. So I reached out. She said she was going to set it up. Come to find out, Mike Gill was not interested in having a conversation with me. Now Mike Gill's playing the same thing. Like he's got all these things to say, but when I'm willing to sit down and say, this is where your papers went, this is how it was processed, and this is why it never even made it to General Flynn's eyeballs. And the next thing you know, he's like, I don't want to meet you. Racine, Wisconsin, Racine. I'm like, what the hell's Racine? Like, but that's the Mike Gill story. He's making it into something that it absolutely, completely is not. And if he wants to be real about the Pandora Papers, I was going to introduce him into the journalists that actually are managing the actual Pandora Papers. But again, he's not interested in that.
Makes you wonder what the heck. There's a lot more to this than, than anybody can imagine. It's just yeah. I think that that this is going to come to a hedge. I really do. Okay. Heartbreaking 10-year-old boy from Indiana kills himself. I mean, therefore I am put out after suffering horrific bullying that saw his classmates mock his glasses and teeth. Sammy Touche took his own life after suffering horrific bullying at school, with his family saying he had warned officials 20 times and they just kept messing with him. That's just really too bad. All right. No words. This is why we need citizen journalism. This man met a search and rescue volunteer border patrol and thanked him for his service. The man said, "It's far worse than you've ever imagined. There's bones hanging from those fucking trees, women and children." Let's take a listen.
Hey guys, I'll try to make this short and fit into 60 seconds. My wife wanted me to share this with you guys. A couple of days ago, I was stopped at a fast food place. I'm on the road all the time. And I noticed this search and rescue truck in the parking lot. I went inside. Standing at the counter was a little man, older man, standing there, facing the menu, never faced me for a while. He was wearing fatigues, and I noticed the search and rescue volunteer border patrol on his patch on his sleeve. And I said, "Man, we really appreciate all your efforts down there." And he just lowered his head, and he turned around to me. He said, "I appreciate that. I won't go back because they won't accept our help anymore." He said, "It's far worse than you've ever imagined. There's bones hanging from those rape trees, women and children." Hey guys.
We've talked about that. We've talked about the rape trees. We've seen a few examples of them from investigators. Yeah. So this is the double mirrored photograph of, or a painting of Charles. And you'll notice, let me do this, open image in a new tab so we get it bigger. Okay, so you see how they just mirrored it? Well, this is the Baphomet in between. See it? And we'll scroll down and it becomes more and more clear as the outline becomes clearer. Yeah. Sick puppies. Sick puppies. You know. Dave put that up, by the way. Well, he shared it. Yeah. All right. We already saw the thing on that. We saw that. Gutfield nails it once again. CGI Biden.
Could be found guilty of a gun felony. Pfizer better send him a big case of adrenaline shots to get him ready. The edits. It was like 13 seconds. What, there were like 5 edits? I mean, there are less edits than a Michael Bay movie. I mean, he couldn't even do that challenge in one straight shot. I wonder what they left on the cutting room floor. Maybe this is why they hired Steven Spielberg, just to get Joe to seamlessly complete a singular thought. I mean, you know, Spielberg made a mechanical shark look real through the magic of editing. Maybe you can turn Joe into a cogent human being, bring CGI. I think that stands for corpse galvanizing imagery. I'm thinking, though, I think Joe heard finally what everybody else is hearing, that he's on his way out. And what do you do when you're on your way out? You set something in motion that makes it harder for you to leave. It's like when Jesse volunteered to be our floor's fire marshal, so that might buy him some time at the network. And it worked. It worked. Why is he doing this? I'm happy he's doing this. I'm glad he's doing it. Maybe Jill told him to do it. Maybe it's just easy to say you're going to do it and then back out. And this is just buying you time, and you could come up with reasons for backing out. There could be another new hoax that they push that makes it like we cannot debate this man. He's undebatable. It's beneath us to debate him. We don't even know what the hoax is, but they'll find one. Or perhaps they're banking on him being found guilty, and then they could say, we're not going to debate a felon. Or they're going to keep making conditions untenable, or they're going to hope that Trump makes conditions that are untenable, but I don't think Trump will. I just think maybe they're trying to keep the Republicans thinking that Joe is the candidate when he really isn't, because they're in big trouble. But I have to say that I don't know why Biden would avoid debating. It's one of the few things he's good at. I mean, he's the best Biden is on the debate stage. And I we make fun of him all the time, but that's where he really shines. And if you think I'm lying, I am. I learned a lesson. You do not want to build really, really, really low expectations for Joe Biden, because it makes it easier for him to win with the media. A very, very low bar guarantees he will beat the expectations, because you go, oh my God, at least he lived. You know, he didn't fall. So I'm going to go ahead and say right now, you can take it out of context, Joe Biden is the best presidential debater I've ever seen.
And Greg, I think you've gotten into my stash one too many times. Yeah. Yeah. Montana's John Tester is running for his 4th Senate term, and he's found himself an interesting target, his own political record. On issues from immigration to hunting, Tester is openly campaigning against the positions he took as a lawmaker. Yeah, that guy's, he's got to go. All right. What is the crew of the Dolly stuck on the ship since crashing into the Baltimore Bridge?
Remember when the ship crashed into the Baltimore Bridge? Why on earth is the crew still on it? 21 people for the last 2 months, and their phones are confiscated. Make this make sense. The day after the bridge collapsed, suspiciously, Biden came out and said, no investigation necessary. The U.S. government will pay for the bridge. Shortly thereafter, the insurance company came out and said, we'll pay out too. In what world does the U.S. government and insurance company pay out immediately without an investigation? Nothing to see here. Don't go digging around. Maui is still dealing with the debris removal and fighting with insurance companies 10 months later. But the bridge, no problem. Let's just pay it out. And then, now we find out that the 21 members of the crew are stuck on the ship, not allowed to leave, trapped, and their phones have been confiscated. Why are they prisoners? The news says they can't leave the ship because of visa restrictions. What? We let ungodly amount of people through the border without visas, but now it's a problem? The conspiracy theorists said cyber attack. Government quickly said accident. What's really going on here?
Yeah, what's up with that? Why are they still on the ship? Yep. All right, what the hell? Miller Times says, I have no idea what this is, so.
When I got my dog on his stick, we heard a bunch of coming across the street. I figured it was a bunch of locusts or bugs, I don't know, June bugs or something. They flew over our head probably 7-8 feet. One of them hit the pole, and you could hear it on the ground. I thought it was one of them katydid things. But you tell me, why in the hell would this shit right here be flying around? Somebody please explain to me what the hell that is. And I found out as I was picking it up, if you squeeze that on the end on each end, then it's going to do it one time, then I guess it shuts it off. So somebody, for the love of God, please tell me what that is. What the hell? Stop it.
Well. Yep. All right. I don't want to go into that one. That'd be too big of a thing here. Tomorrow is the day when the Vatican will publish its new norms for discerning apparitions and other supernatural phenomena. Last time the Vatican's doctrinal offer issued norms for evaluating alleged apparitions and reports of supernatural events was in February 1978 under Pope Paul VI. That document, norms regarding manner of proceedings in the discernment of presumed apparitions or revelations, was released due to the increased influence of mass media. After an alleged series of appearances by the Virgin Mary to several peasant children that promised a public miracle, tens of thousands of people in Fatima, Portugal, claimed to witness the sun move erratically across the sky and produce radiant colors for several minutes. This time, it appears the guidelines will be about an instance in which a divine entity, such as a saint, the Virgin Mary, or Christ himself, makes itself known to a person on earth. Always interesting. Yeah. Ian Carroll. I don't know why X is hiding this post in my media tab. Full explanation for normal people of how and why GameStop short sellers should quite literally burn the entire financial system down right now. Here we go.
So this homie said, I can't believe this GameStop thing is still going on. Can someone explain it to me? I love Ian and everything he stands for, but I literally have no idea what this is about or how one stock could have any real effect on impacting ultra wealthy people. I'm down to help. I just need to understand what's going on. I got you, Matt. I'm going to try to put it all into one video right now. I've made lots of videos about pieces of this, but I'm going to try to actually explain the real thesis of what's going on and why GameStop very well could affect the entire market, bring down corrupt financial institutions on a big scale. But yeah, I got to put my hair up for this one. Okay, don't get scared of charts. We're going to keep it really simple. When you buy stocks normally, you're buying at a lower price and you're hoping it goes up so you can sell it and make some money, right? Well, there's no rule in the stock market that says you're not allowed to borrow something from someone, right? So you're allowed to borrow shares from your homie. And if you borrow something, you're allowed to do what you want with it, right? I can borrow some shares and then sell them on the market right now. I just have to return them later to make sure that homie gets his shares back, right? So you're allowed to do this thing called short selling, where you borrow some shares from whoever right now, and you sell them at the market right now, hoping actually the price will go down. And then later you'll buy some and return them to your homie. And you actually make money because you return them for less money than you actually made when you sold them in the first place. So short selling is this thing where you can bet the market will go down, and it's like taking out a loan, and when the market goes down, then you close out the loan and you make some money. You have to pay a little interest to keep that loan open, but you can make a lot of money doing that, especially if you see a company that's obviously going to die because it's a failing business model and you want to make some money while it dies. But you want to be really careful, because if you have all these loans open and you're paying interest to keep your loans open, you're hoping the price goes down, but then it starts to go up a lot, you could lose a lot of money because you'd have to buy them all back at a higher price to pay back your loan, and you had to pay interest to keep your loan open. And prices can go up infinitely, theoretically. So short selling is pretty dangerous, and everyone knows that. And back in the 90s, all these rich people at Bain Capital, like Mitt Romney, they realized that they can actually take companies down from the inside and basically loot a company from the inside, take all its money, give it to them and their buddies, the shareholders, and then bankrupt it and leave. And there's not really any consequences. You just buy into the company, buy a bunch of shares, get yourself on the board, take it over, start hiring people that'll do what you want, mismanage it, do a bunch of buybacks so the money gets paid back out to you and the shareholder buddies. And you can really just mismanage the company into the ground and basically loot it for all it's worth. And when it goes bankrupt, it's like, oh, well, whoopsies, it was destined to fail. We'll just move on to the next company, whatever, my mistake. And they made billions of dollars doing this to Toys R Us. And everyone else was looking around like, damn, that was a pretty solid strategy, Bain Capital. Maybe we could do that to some other companies. And this was just after the dot-com bubble happened. And so there was this whole internet thing. Amazon was on the rise. And everyone kind of realized, there's all these retail stores out there that are probably in big trouble, like Blockbuster and Sears and GameStop, companies that are bound to fail. So why don't we make them fail faster and profit off of that? Plus, it turns out that these dudes that work at places like Bain Capital that can take these places down from the inside out, turns out they have a lot of friends in the market that like to short sell. And the thing about supply and demand is when I'm borrowing like thousands and thousands and thousands of shares and selling them into the market right now, all that selling actually makes the price of the stock go down, because like when everyone's selling something, it gets valued less. But when everyone wants to buy something, the value goes up, right? So short selling actually makes a stock's price go down. And these guys realize that, like, you like to make money when stocks go down, and I like to make money when companies get destroyed. And when we do those both at the same time, everybody wins, except the company, of course. And then it turned out they were like, hey, we both know a lot of people in the mainstream media that like to report on failing companies. The kinds of reports that make investors scared and make them want to sell a stock. And they realized they kind of had the dream team for bankrupting companies, and they could all make money on the way down and no one would ever stop them because it's kind of legal. And it actually started to work so well that they started to get really greedy, and they started to naked short sell, which means like no one's checking if we're even borrowing these shares that we're borrowing in order to short sell. So why even borrow them? We can just short sell shares and say we borrowed them, and the company's going to go bankrupt anyways. And when it does go bankrupt, we don't even need to pay that loan back because there's no shares to give back. They're gone. And fun fact, it's all tax-free money too, because there's no company the shares are gone. Free money. So some of them got really greedy and started selling without even borrowing the shares in the first place. But we'll come back to that in just a second. Because the other thing that's important to realize about the stock market is it's like this big casino game now. So it's not like the big boys aren't just playing with like a share of a company. They're playing with these things that are called derivatives, which is like leveraging your assets to take out loans to like make big plays, big gambles. So they use all these special kinds of contracts where like they put up collateral in order for their bank or whoever to let them trade on a whole bunch of extra money they don't really have, but they've got collateral. So if it starts to go sideways, the bank can just take their collateral and it's all safe. But like this way, I can trade with 100 times the money of what I actually have. It's called leverage. And all these different tricks, they're called derivatives. And they let these big players gamble with huge positions in the market. So this now, when the stock moves by $1, they're leveraged 100x. And so if the stock goes up by $1, they can make like 100x $1. Or if the stock goes down, vice versa. And this derivatives market has gotten really big, like hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of these weird bets just all over the market. These are the top banks. It's like JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, their names are over there. And this is in millions of dollars. So we're talking $49 million. That is $49 trillion worth of these derivative bets open with just JP Morgan, the biggest bank. But the thing about these derivatives is they all have collateral backing them up, right? And the thing they use for collateral, they're not like you and me. It's not like they're putting up their car for collateral. They're putting up their other assets. So over here, they're going to be trading these assets on that collateral. And over here, they're trading the collateral on these assets. And so the whole market is now tied together by all these big financial institutions trading trillions of dollars worth of stocks that they don't actually have on leverage that's based on collateral that they're trading for trillions of dollars worth of stock over there. You see what I mean? So like if they fuck this one up, then that one gets fucked. There's all these dudes doing this like kind of criminal shorting businesses out of existence scheme in the market, in kind of in secret. And they've been targeting GameStop for years now. Ever since 2014, the stock was on this endless ramp down. They were short selling it while they had infiltrated it and were mismanaging the company from the inside out. Amazon was licking its lips, ready to take over the video game online industry. And the people doing all this short selling also have all these other crazy bets open all over the market. And if any of them go wrong, a whole lot of things go wrong. And then out of nowhere, this random dude that would like live stream to 4 people about his investment thesis noticed that GameStop had a lot of short sellers, and it wasn't necessarily a bad company. In fact, it had a future if it turned around. And then this really savvy businessman came and took over the company and started turning it around. And he kicked out all the bad people that had been trying to mismanage it to death. And suddenly all the people that had just spent years and years short selling millions and millions of shares, and all those loans were still open because they were expecting it to go to zero and they wouldn't have to pay them back. Suddenly the price is going up and they're all in trouble. Because the thing is, when the price goes up and one of the other people that's short selling the company gets scared and closes out their trades, they have to buy all those shares back to get out of that, right? Because they borrowed and sold, so now they have to buy and give them back. But all that buying makes the price go up even higher. And there were a lot of people short selling this thing. And in fact, they had short sold it so much that they couldn't afford to buy it all back once the price started going up that high. I mean, it was down to like 50 cents and they were opening short sales at 50 cents. Today we're at what, $60 times millions and millions and millions of shares that you have to buy back. Each one will make the price go up. And the whole stock market is tied together by all these crazy financial derivatives, and everyone's balance sheets are actually kind of sketchy in the first place. Yeah, and we all realize that all we have to do is buy the shares and just hold on to them because these guys need to buy them from us in order to close their trades out. Whoopsies. And you know, the more we thought about it, the more we realized, no, I don't really want to sell. Fuck you. So then they tried to trick us into thinking that they had already closed their positions and it was all over. And we were like, I'm pretty sure you're lying, dude. So we just held on for years. And it turns out we were right. Shorts never closed. And now we've all got the shares that they need in order to close. And you know, I still don't want to sell. Fuck you.
Gotta love it, right? Yep. That's a good explanation. And he broke it down so that everyday average Americans can understand exactly what he was talking about. And I think that that's great. All right. Let's see. What the hell? Why not let the whole world vote in our elections? Send ballots to China, Russia, and even Iran. The big steal 2.0 is going down now.
Did you know that non-citizens can vote this year?
I had a sneaky suspicion. You know why? Because I have people in my family who are permanent residents and non-citizens, and they're talking about, yo, I got this voter registration card in the mail.
What?
So they're registered. This is 100% fact. I know this for a fact because some of my family are not citizens. They're simply permanent residents, and they're getting voter registration cards in the mail. This is
That is
absolute
crazy.
fact. This is the fact.
Yeah, I do. Citizenship. Yes.
You're supposed to show your citizenship and prove it, not them. They are non-citizens and they can vote. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, one of the most blue parts of U.S., and that's what they're doing. If they're doing it in Baltimore, I'm assuming they're doing it in New York, New Jersey.
Did you know that non-citizens can vote this?
Well, yep. All right. Charlie always gives them something to think about. I think she may have changed her mind at the end of this exchange.
What exactly about socialism do you not like?
Like the 130 million people that died under socialism in the last 100 years. The fact that every country that engages in a socialist direction becomes less free, less prosperous.
I know that in Italy, I believe they have 8 weeks paid vacation, maternity.
Yeah, it's a
maternity
terrible
leave,
idea.
And
Yeah.
I thought that gave them a better quality of life, and I
It
feel
might,
like
and
that.
if you want to have somebody else pay for your vacation, move to Italy. But we're still a country that should value liberty more than comfort and security.
Do you think that maybe there's like a middle ground where you can have a little bit of both?
Everything comes at a price. The states that are the most socialistic are the worst and hardest states to live in this country. California, New York, Illinois have the most people leaving. Highest taxes, most social benefits, most social welfare, and they're leaving for states that are freer with lower taxes and more economic freedom. So everything comes at a price.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
I think he was pretty simple and very clear about that. Yep. Somebody's got to pay for it. You know. Yep. All right. Well, that's where I'm going to call it, guys. 3.5 hours. Like I said, with the price of fuel being well over $6 right now, I have to be very sparing. Very sparing. So we're going to have to cut it short here, guys. All right. Thanks for joining me. I hope everybody got something out of the stuff that we covered today. More and more things are going to be exposed as days go by, and we will try to cover absolutely as much of it as I possibly can. As long as I got the fuel to keep burning with you guys, I will keep doing it. you know, and we'll go from there. Remember that God loves you, Christ loves you, I love you, and you love each other. And we'll keep moving forward. Peace.